the question about the risk is very serious. And obviously, it is a question that this court has to evaluate. For the executive branch, our view is that there is a balanced protection that better serves the interests of the Constitution, that incorporates both president. It does not name the president, Justice Gorsuch. Section 201 does not specifically name the president.
I would assume that's personal. So,
well, I think that
that's what Brewster said.
Bribery statute in 607 says the president. I've got it in front of me, and so there is that.
Well,
let me just back up though, just a second to what exchange with Justice Kavanaugh that I just want to make sure I understand.
Yeah.
Did you agree that there are some core functions of the executive that president conduct that Congress cannot criminalize?
Yes.
So is that a form? I mean, we can call it immunity or you can call it they can't do it, but what's the difference?
We call it an as applied Article 2 challenge. That would
okay.
It's within.
Aren't you glad you're not on the Supreme Court? All right, let's get rid of that. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. Ham will be on, I think, in 12 minutes, 13 minutes. It's early in the morning, I know, but he wanted me to do it early. So here we are. A lot of things going on in the news. Biggest thing is, for some reason, people are surprised that inflation is up and the GDP is down. So the market's under pressure. But I stick by that. I think they're going to, they being the Fed and the Treasury and people that want breakfast at Biden's reelected. I think the market's going to go a lot higher, but there's huge risk. Just to use a round number, I don't think it has to go that high. But if the 10-year yield goes to 5%, or approaches it, I'd be scared. I'd be worried that things are, that it's all she wrote. Before Ham comes on, I wanted to read an article, which I haven't read. I just glanced at, but I like the guy that wrote it very much. I follow him, and I used to subscribe to his service, and I will again at some point. James Rickards. And this morning yesterday, he put out a article, and it's entitled, "This Emperor Has No Clothes. Does the Fed even matter that much to the real economy and investor portfolios?" And that's what hooked me on the article. I didn't read it. I didn't have time. But the issue the Fed has, and I've argued with you for a while, I don't think there's really any correlation between what the Fed does and what the bond market, how the bond market behaves. There is this belief that when the Fed moves interest rates, they're in control, and that becomes the common thought, and the bond market gets sleepy and trusts the Fed. I'm not sure I'm describing what I mean very well. What I mean is, at some point, I think there'll be a lack of trust that just because the Fed tries to lower interest rates, that it means anything. The real mover is the group, the confidence in both the dollar and our ability to pay back our debt, or to just pay the interest on our debt. And I think that means we're going to war, by the way. Does the Fed even matter that much to the real economy and investor portfolios? That is an important question that doesn't get nearly enough scrutiny. It's possible that neither the Fed nor the reporters who cover the Fed want to ask hard questions about what the Fed really does. Could it be the case that the emperor has no clothes? Financial journalists often refer to a Goldilocks economy, in other words, not too hot, not too cold, just right, as a tribute to the Fed's finesse in handling rates. I didn't read this before. He's saying it better than I did. It's also called the soft landing scenario because the Fed supposedly tamed inflation without causing a recession. These narratives have no factual foundations. They are just stories designed to get you to buy stocks and pump up the volume, pump up stock prices. The truth is, the Fed is always behind the curve and does not finesse the economy. And there is no such thing as a soft landing. The economy does not gradually shift gears. It is either growing fast or going into a recession. So where does the Fed stand today? Will it start cutting rates as Wall Street keeps incorrectly predicting? This is Jim Rickards. The Fed will not cut rates at its May or June meetings. Wall Street has been predicting rate cuts for almost 2 years, and they have been wrong every time. They are predicting a June rate cut, and they will be wrong again. And I've been saying that, so he's saying it better than I can. A rate cut at the July 31 meeting is possible, but it is in jeopardy now, attributable to inflation going up again in the latest report. We will have 3 months more of inflation, unemployment, and GDP data between now and then. If the Fed does cut rates in late July, it will not be for good reasons. It will be because the economy has fallen into a recession. But given the boost to US growth from out of control government spending in an election year, breakfast at Biden's, the recession may be postponed. So don't count on a July rate cut either. There is no Fed meeting in August. The next meeting after that is scheduled for September 18th. The Fed may be ready for a rate cut by then, but here is the problem. The September 18 date is just 7 weeks before the election on November 5. The Fed pretends it is non-political, but in fact, it is highly political. A rate cut in September will be viewed as helping Biden by boosting the economy and hurting Trump. At the same time, Trump is the likely winner based on currently available polling data and trends. This is Jim Rickards. You don't have to jump on me. The Fed will not want to be in the position of appearing to boost Biden and hurt Trump if Trump is going to win. Trump will make the Fed public enemy number one, and that is the last thing they want. So the Fed will take a pass in September. There is no Fed meeting in October. The next 2 Fed meetings after that are November 7 and December 18, both safely after the election. The Fed could cut rates at both meetings, but the Fed has painted itself into a corner. The Fed is running out of time. Beginning at the FOMC meeting on March 20, the Fed promoted the narrative that there would be 3 rate cuts before the end of the year. If they don't cut in May, June, July, or September, for the reasons noted, and there are no meetings in August or October, then the Fed would have at most 2 rate cuts this year in November and December. In short, the Fed is running out of meetings in which to conduct 3 rate cuts and may have to settle for just 2 rate cuts. The Fed's reckless promise and the dictates of the calendar are what are driving the stock market. The stock market's fixated on the Fed. The stock market is fixated on the Fed, but the Fed doesn't know what they are doing. That's a recipe for volatility and a sharp reversal of the first quarter gains. I assume he's talking in the stock market. So why doesn't the Fed just get it over with and start cutting rates in May? They could make an announcement and hire a band to play Happy Days Are Here Again. Happy days are here again. Something, something to cheer again. Happy days are here again. The Fed thought they had won the battle when inflation dropped from 9.1% CPI year over year in June 2022 to 3% in June 2023. Nice job, Fed. It was when that June 2023 reading came out in July 2023 that the Fed put in one last rate hike and then stopped dead. Since then, it has been a countdown to rate cuts. The problem is that inflation isn't done. I have a friend that tells me only meat is done. So let me read it differently. The problem is that inflation isn't over. From the 3% in June 2023, inflation rose to 3.7% in August and 3.7% annualized again in September 2023. Inflation fluctuated between 3.1% and 3.4% until recently. March inflation came in at 3.5%, a full 0.3 percentage points higher than in February. That's not all that's going up. The price of oil was $68.50 per barrel last December 12 and is now over $83 per barrel. That's about a 21% increase in oil prices in just 4 months. That oil price shock hasn't worked its way through the supply chain yet. It has resulted in some price increases, but more are in the pipeline, so to speak. This oil price spike will keep inflation at current levels or higher in the months ahead. The Fed is looking for signs that inflation is coming down, but they're not going to get them, as shown in the latest inflation report. The price of 1 gallon of regular gasoline, regular national average, was $3.64 as of yesterday, April 22. So I guess he wrote this a couple of days ago. It was $3.57 on April 4, $3.55 on April 3, $3.54 on March 28, $3.52 on March 4, and $3.51 on April 4, 2023. Put this differently, gas prices are higher than they were last week, last month, and for last year. That is a bad sign for Biden politically, but it's a worse sign for the Fed in terms of inflation. That gas price rise is not over because the wholesale price of oil is still on the rise, and oil prices affect far more than the price of gas at the pump. Higher oil prices mean higher transportation costs, whether by truck, train, plane, or ship, since all goods have to be transported to market. That means the price of everything is going up. Other factors driving inflation from the supply side include the Key Bridge collapse in Baltimore, the closing of the Red Sea Suez Canal shipping route, and continued fallout from Ukraine war sanctions. Some of these supply side constraints may be deflationary in the long run, but they are definitely inflationary in the short term. Running on Fed happy talk, this is almost over. The stock market has been running on Fed happy talk. That situation may end abruptly on June 12 if the Fed does not cut rates and signals that rate cuts are not to be expected in the near future, and perhaps not before the end of the year. By then, we may be facing one of the worst economic outcomes possible. Recession plus inflation equals stagflation. Stagflation. So they blame that on Jimmy Carter, but I actually think Ford and Nixon deserve some blame too. But anyway, stagflation, like so much, we've been, to use his word, we've been in a Goldilocks financial market from sort of the 80s, the beginning of the 80s, to the beginnings of the 2020s, 40 years of your grandfather's Oldsmobile. The next years are not going to be your father's Oldsmobile. Anyone under the age of 60, can you imagine that? Anyone under the age of 60 probably has no acquaintance with stagflation. Anybody under the age of 60 doesn't know what it's like to deal with a shite economic environment. The United States last experienced this in 1977 through 1981. So I kind of got it right. That's Jimmy Carter. My name is Jimmy Carter. I remember that period well. It was great for leveraged holders of hard assets, such as gold and real estate. Luckily, I don't own either. But I own a gold company. Three gold companies. It was great for leveraged holders of hard assets such as gold and real estate. It was a nightmare for holders of stocks. The long-term bull market in stocks did not start until August 1982. I remember when the Dow first hit 1,000. There was cheering all through the boardroom. There was so much excitement. Everybody went out and got drunk. 1,000. I will make a prediction. Gold will trade. 1 ounce of gold will trade at the value of the Dow. I was on a President's Club trip in I think it was the Bahamas, and John Templeton came to speak to us. It's years and years ago. And he said that the Dow Jones average would meet the level of the Nikkei average. At the time, to my memory, Japan's average was trading at 40,000, and everyone said impossible. The Dow it wasn't even 1,600 when we were there. 1,600. Everyone thought he was crazy, but look at it. He was right. The Dow now trades higher, I believe, than the Nikkei. I didn't look at the but it's basically trading for 40,000. My prediction, gold will trade at 40,000. All right. Investors might keep that winning, investors might keep that winning hard asset portfolio allocation in mind as events unfold between now and June. So obviously it's real estate and gold. So that's James Rickards. This emperor has no clothes. I will expect that Ham will call in any second now. So let me go through these. X Pulse is number one. X Pulse Arnix. There was another bit of news this morning. Let me look up the titles just because I was looking at the debt, the national debt. You know what it is right now? 34 trillion 683 whatever's next, quadrillion. Anyway, it's almost $35 trillion. US total national assets are 203 trillion, but our unfunded liabilities are 214 trillion. Our US federal spending is 6.6 trillion. The projected deficit, 1.8 trillion. Federal tax revenue is 4.8 trillion. State revenue total is 2.3 trillion. US gross domestic product, $28 trillion. So our debt is almost 35 trillion and our GDP is 28 trillion. Is that a pretty picture? I don't see how real estate goes up, but whatever. All right, I want to tell you one more news headline, which relates to, believe it or not, to that small stock HNRC. It has no direct connection, but BHP is proposing to buy out Anglo. Let me get the price. BHP is going to buy Anglo American, if it goes through, for $31 billion pounds. So it's $39 billion. And it's all about copper. It's all about copper. And that's one of the things that Frank Kristen got involved in. Hey, Cliff. Duran. Hey, I can't even say that exactly. Hey, Susan. Thank you. Thank you for yesterday again. Hey, Steve Petchke. Toya Moy Pes. Zizu. Scott Scheller, UK Sun. Howdy. That's how we say it here in the United States. We say howdy. I don't know how you all say it in the UK. You probably say cheers. Hey, Stony. Matt K. Frank. Good morning, Matt. Hey, Darren, in some sunny part of the world. Corey. Bidenomics. I can't read that, but I saw a headline yesterday. Shock poll: Biden is leading Trump. Well, just just don't get all hopeful that Trump's going to be our next president. I think there's all sorts of strategies to make sure it doesn't happen. But then, Mad Gun, how can it be better to have breakfast at Biden's in office and all of his woke, over-promoted, over-educated, unskilled, equal outcome people in charge, equality of outcome? How can that be better? I guess the problem is he said on a private conversation one time that they let tall, blonde, billionaire, single men who get all the TV cameras and all the newspaper coverage in the world's biggest city for finance, and somehow that man attracts women who let him do certain things. But I guess we just got to get rid of that. We got to bring in breakfast at Biden's, who no one listens to Tara Reid, by the way. When she was a young legislative aide, he, according to her and her mother, he put Tara Reid up against the marble wall and inserted himself in, I won't say what parts, and said, "Come on, you like me." That is our president, but that's all okay for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know. I like consistent judging of people. But I guess we're going to end up, Mad Gun, with breakfast at Biden's, and then the super delegates will replace him. And I think the battle will be between Jill Biden, Michelle Obama, if she wants to join the fight, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, that's Gavin Newsom, and Kamala Harris. Those 5 women and their supporters are going to choose our next president, I think. And if I had to place bets, I think it'll be Hillary Clinton, because women of a certain age are voters. They're very much so, they're voters, and they're very much so anti-Trump. And it's time to have a woman in president, the world to be safer, there'll be less war. I grew up hearing that constantly, that if women were in charge, we'd have less war. Victoria Nuland, the Ukraine, a disaster for us. Ignore all the moral issues. Financially, it's going to be a disaster. Samantha Powers, Condoleezza Rice. Anyway, Ham will come on and rescue you from my rambling. Hey, Pilot. Hey, Morty. Hey, Mexican. Buenos dias. Good to see us. Buenos dias. Good to see us. Clark, if breakfast at Biden is in for 4 more years, I think we'll get Kamala Harris, but I think your sentence is still correct. Unless they replace him, and my prediction is they replace him with Hillary Clinton. It could be Gavin Newsom, it could be Kamala Harris, it could be Michelle Obama, but I don't see it for various reasons. I don't think the donor class will settle on those 3. And Bill Clinton, even as he's approaching his dotage, still has great sway and great salesmanship. And the banks love HRC. The banks just love HRC. LGIQ down 20%. Well, I don't know about that. Let me look. Yeah, it's down 20%. But of course, Cliff, you look at the bid, right? So it traded on the bid at 0.0277. The ask is 0.0349, and the volume is pretty low, 100,000. So it's down because they hit the bid. So I wouldn't be alarmed. Hang on, I gotta call him.
Are you on?
Well, I'm futzing with the speaker. I had the speaker ready, but it faded. Hang on. It'll
Battery
be
100%.
quick.
Connected to Bill's iPhone.
It'll be quick. All right, now I just go here. Okay. You should be on now.
All right, everybody, welcome. It's 11:47, running around. I just posted that the criminals just spooked 29,700 shares for sale at 320. That as soon as they put that big order out, next thing they hit the bid. They're just trying to scare investors into selling. That's all they're trying to do. All right, no one gives a shit if you want to sell your stock, but they never sell their stock. They offer it down. Yeah, if you notice, whenever they show a big offer, they never sell it. They spoof and run in front of it. That's all they're trying to do. So again, anyone who owns Finger or any stock, call your broker up today. And now the stock just went 313 to 323, and the volume was 107, and nothing's traded. It was 105. Where's the 28,000 shares? Do you understand how they just trying to play games with us? This is an old trick, William. This is older than the shit in your pants, William. I'm only kidding.
Gross.
It's complete manipulation. It's just another part of it. There's a spoof. If West Christian's looking for a spoof, it just hits you right in the face. All right, I can look in 2 minutes and see these guys. They're amateurs, you know. The person that's shorting this stock and spoofing it is like a person that traded Yahoo calls to make a living. That's the type of person. The bullshit artist, the scumbag. All right, so you understand. Call your broker up. I don't care if you got one share. You do not want it lent out. It takes you 2 minutes. Call up. You know, I can't remember all the little tricks in the world, but that's one of them. And you saw it with DJT. I reached out to big holders. They're trying to call Finger Motion up and tell them to say something about the same thing like DJT. Let's see if they can get that done. All right. Call your broker up. It takes 1 minute. And then just say to them, hey, could you give me an email confirmation that you're not lending my shares out? They're not going to bite you. You could probably send them a message through your system. Don't lend out your shares. They're short 2,150,000. It went up 500,000, whatever the number was, 600,000. They pressed their bet. There's no shares to borrow. If you force them to buy in or deliver the stock they borrowed, the stock is going up. And the buying back the 2.2 million will it'll hurt the real short, the naked short also. All right, so again, you want to play games, don't bullshit people. You control it. All right, we don't control this stuff. Help yourself. Call your broker up and just tell them you don't want to lend your shares out. That's it. I don't care if it's one share or a billion shares. Do not lend it out. This is a big scam. Just tell them don't lend it out. You're only hurting yourself. And don't listen to these people. Oh, I'm trying to get a return. It's all bullshit. All right? Just call it in. You don't want your shares lent out. They lend it out without your permission. Look at interactive brokers. They're the biggest criminals in creation. They get fined all the time. You think the people at ZJYL are trying to get all their shares out? It's taken a month. But I'm told that all those shares are going to be out shortly, and that's going to go back out. And that'll start to go. When that goes, GDC will follow. That's the game on those two stocks. I'm hearing there's big events coming out of DJT that's going to help all the companies that are being naked shorted. And there will be some sort of news, I believe, with FINRA regarding this MMTLP. Hopefully they get discovery there, because that discovery is proof in all different directions for everybody. I don't know exactly where the court is or where, but it's coming out. You're going to get your congressional hearings. All right? It's coming. These guys are all in. They're not fooling around at DJT. They're not going to take shit from anybody. They know they're fighting everybody. They can't hide the proof. Even South Korea now has come back again, and they have a new system to detect naked short selling. Since this has been going on, China, South Korea, India, whoever else, Canada, the UK, who else is trying to stop naked short selling? Not one peep. Hester Pierce, not one peep from Gary Gensler, nothing. Crickets. And meanwhile, they tried to throw Devin Nunes under the bus, calling him an idiot. Ken Griffin. If I had $40 billion, if I had $4 million, I would stick my nose out and risk losing it all and go into jail like Bernie Madoff and the guy, what's his name? Sam Friedman, whatever the hell his name was. That punk.
Sam Blankman-Fraud.
Whatever it is, yeah. Those guys were big shots, worth billions of dollars, and they all wound up in jail. Bernie Madoff died in jail. This other idiot's 25 years in jail. All right? Ken Griffin, with his $40 billion, opened his mouth. I know he's the front for the bigger players. All right? But if I was worth $40 billion, I would fake a heart attack and disappear. Never come back again. Let anybody else who wants to run the ship. You stole $40 billion. Run away. That's what he should be doing. But instead, he wants to stick a stick in the beehive and get stung. What is he, nuts? Now,
Greedy.
out of the bag. Now what do you do?
He's
What was
greedy.
that?
He's greedy.
I just don't understand it. And DJT is not going to stop. Reposted people, help out as much as you can. This is the final frontier. This is the final battle. We got the most powerful man in the world and soon to be the next president of the United States on your side. Before you had me, William, and a couple of other people. We went up the ladder real quick, my friends. And I don't give a shit if you hate him, love him. I don't really care. To me, I don't care. I'm not a political guy. But this has to be fixed or you're all going to get wiped out. Just think, someone put the video, Ken Griffin again, speaking on how the teachers union lost money, got wiped out, shorting GameStop. And he's blaming the retail investor. Again, he did it. I saw the video again last night or this morning. Think of the balls of this guy. Merlin Capital's right. We're wrong. That's what he was saying. We have billions of dollars. You don't deserve to be with us. That's what he's saying. Think about what this guy said. It's criminal. And all he got, he's trying to piss on us. He has no problem pissing on us. Listen, I give Jeff Easton credit. He's hiding his fat ass. Savvy management, hiding. They got busted. They're hiding. Jeff Easton doesn't want to get dragged into the Donald Trump saga. We're making sure he does. He's not getting away. All right? He thinks he's the low-hanging fruit. We're bringing him front and center for trying to steal for 3 years, stealing people's money. We're not letting him get away. You can say all you want, hide all you want. The phone records, everything, it will expose him. The money trail, his friend in Australia, the guy, what's his name? Rockefeller, whatever the hell his name
John
was.
Hancock.
Hancock, whatever his name is. I'm up 220%. Everyone else is getting wiped out in the Lynch Fund. This guy's bragging that he's up 220% to a newspaper, thinking that no one would find it. You know? I'll just get people calling. I'll just tell them I'm on a text. But so these guys have trapped themselves, and he thought he was going to slip away. Never in a million years did Jeff Easton think that we would come down with Donald Trump to help us out. Whoever thought that? You talk about a long shot, it's unbelievable. Think about that, what we have going for us now. People, now is the time. This is it. This is the final battle. We can't do this forever. You have the most powerful guy in the world. If you're on Twitter, stock tweets, wherever you are, post it, repost it, let people know. Support DJT. He's going to help us all. He's going to help you, your kids, and your grandkids. No one else is going to do it. I don't give a fuck who the Democrats were. You got the man doing it right now. So cut your bullshit out. Vote for the fucking guy. And this guy's standing up fighting for us. No one else did. He's taking all this shit, and it's going to help us out. And I don't know what to tell you. If this doesn't work, we're all done. I don't know what to tell you. That's it. I'm not doing it anymore. This is the final frontier. This is the battle. This is what we've been waiting for. I've been waiting for 24 years. Pat Byrne was the most powerful person we knew. He made his squeeze and he disappeared. You know, he's doing other things now. We have the opportunity. We traded Pat Byrne in for the most powerful man in the world. If you don't see it, then sell your stock and get the hell out of here. If you want to fight, make the call to your brokerage firm. Call them up. Take your stock. Don't lend my shares out. And you want confirmation that they're not lending them out. Yeah, William, any questions?
Well, that stock you mentioned is up to almost $4, $391.46.
What stock?
I'm not allowed to say it, but the one that you that is going to move because they're moving shares, and then the other one I can't say is going to go. Anyway, and
I can't remember.
you were talking about the two ones out of Southeast Asia.
Oh, yeah, that's what I heard. That's, listen, again, I don't own CJYL. I own the other one. That's all I know.
I'm not allowed to talk about them. Someone's saying I put when I signed in, I put DJT on my title, and this guy's saying, take it off. Don't want bad luck. I don't think my little video is going to do anything. That's a train a coming, DJT.
Well, I said it the other day. The stock was going up. They were pushing it down to 31. It traded as high as 39.40 today. So if you were lucky enough and you bought some, you can always sell it, take the profit, buy some cheap calls, the 40s, 45s, and don't look at it. That's the way to play it. You don't have to worry about your money. But I do believe this thing is going to get an explosion shortly. I was told to close above 37 takes you to 55. Break up 55, it goes to 100. It's pretty easy. The stock was just 85. They bashed it down. Okay. All the scumbags trying to piss on Trump thought he was not making money. Again, I don't want to get caught up in all this political shit. This guy has a public company and he deserves the same rights as all of us. Stop naked short selling. Show us your cards. How many shares is short? The data shows us there's 770 million counterfeit shares in the company. There's 45 million shares in the float. How's it trading 10 million shares a day? Every day, everybody's just flipping it.
There's a huge gap at 52.5 all the way up to 57. And that'll get filled.
Listen, they're fighting the wrong battle here. I don't know how many months until the election comes. He gets in, it's over with anyway. So we have our time frame. Pat Byrne, Busy Brands put up an old conference call that we had with Pat Byrne saying that vote for Trump. When I get in, we'll force settlement. So he's here. Pat Byrne is a man of his words. If there's anybody who says he's going to do something, it's that guy. All right? He's going to make it happen. These idiots that have stolen all the money, Merlin Capital, like it's his God-given right that he's allowed to short it. He used the teachers' money and they got wiped out. The teachers union. Everybody's looking for more money. They don't care who they give the money to manage. I'm glad the teachers union got smacked in the face. I hope their return where they're hoping they were getting 15%, they wind up getting 2% on their money because they got wiped out. They're lucky they didn't get totally wiped out because GameStop keeps going. The teachers union would have had to keep working for free. Because remember, they owed the liability. Michael Jordan lost $500 million with Merlin Capital. If you're worth that much money, you really need to roll the dice and keep gambling. People are sick trying to make more and more money. He's the king of the world, Michael Jordan. He needs to go out there and risk lose $500 million. For what? Go back and look at the guy short Volkswagen, worth $9 billion. What happened? Short Volkswagen? He jumped in front of a train. He lost it all. What was he trying to make? He was like in the top, I forget, the top 10 or top 20 richest people in the world. He went from that to jumping in front of a train.
Do you know how much it costs to borrow DJT stock?
I do not know. I don't have the energy.
Do you want to know?
I don't care.
You sure?
I don't really care. Again, you want to tell us? Go ahead. I don't care.
It's 692%.
Yeah. So where's the selling coming from?
And it's hard to
Listen,
borrow.
the reason you're seeing the borrow rates and all this stuff is because they're trying to make it more transparent. Because they know the shit's coming down the road. A lot of that stuff is always hidden. Oh, you can't. What's the borrow rate in finger? Could someone who gets the rates let us know with that one? There's no shares. They borrowed 2.2 million already. There's no shares to borrow. What's the borrow rate? 10%? What is it going to be? It should be 600% also. There's no shares. Where are they? We're into the big spoof, everyone. Since we talked, there was 30,000, 29,000 up there for sale at 320. We traded a total of 2,000 shares since that point. Not one share. Where's the 30,000? There you go. Spoof, fraud, right in front of your eyes, right there. They're trying to get people to come out of this stock. That's the whole game. So everybody on this phone call, Jeff Easton and his friends are doing everything to con you to sell your stock. And William, you are coming to New York on Monday, correct?
I'm actually going to be up there Sunday. I'll be there Monday. I'll leave Tuesday. And yes,
I didn't need to know the whole agenda. I don't really care.
And the bell ringing is at 4 p.m. 4 p.m.
And where is it? Times Square? Is that where it is?
They're setting up a green screen in front of Columbia University. No, it's wherever NASDAQ claims to be.
As far as I know, it was in Times Square.
Or
Again,
Times
that's what
Square, I
know.
don't know, somewhere.
All right.
I have no idea. I'll figure that out when I get there.
Hold on a second. Yeah, keep asking me any questions. I'm just typing stuff.
Somebody said they were able to take the lending out on their shares.
Beautiful job. Whoever it was, I don't care if you own one share or a billion. That's the way to be a team player. People, get off your ass, make the fucking phone call.
That was Cliff. And Barbara also is confirming her shares are not going to be lent out.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Thank you. That's what you have to do. I'm sorry that Fraud Street is so disgusting that investors have to sit here and get educated, listen to us two knuckleheads talk about this nonsense and try to teach you. It's complete. There's no reason that you have to sit here and defend your stock like this, like a maniac every day versus criminals. It's insane that we have to do this, and I don't even know what to say. I've been doing this a long time, and I've gotten more angry as we go along here. But again, they're robbing. I have a friend that lost $400,000 in finger motion. And trust me, these are not the type of people that like to get ripped off, and they're fucking mad. And I hold them back every day.
And some of them are in the FBI.
Forget the FBI. I don't even understand why they're holding it back. They did say that the DJ, what's his name, Trump is the best person to have in front of this. That's for sure. That's what they replied back. But my friends, people that I know, got robbed for $400,000 in finger motion, and they are furious. And I don't understand. Listen, I can't blame people. These guys are stealing, robbing a bank, not even wearing a mask. Think about that. That's how brazen these guys are. They could give a rat's ass
And
about anything.
they cheer themselves. They're gleeful. They brag about it.
Right.
And they hide behind names you can't figure out, but I bet the FBI and national security can figure out where the tweets are coming from.
I can guarantee you, all right, DJT, Donald Trump, Devin Nunes, okay, with what's his name, Jim Jordan, are going to get to the bottom of this. And if you remember, anybody here, who was posting a Jim Jordan, calling him out a while ago on Root? I did. And then a week ago, I started calling out DJT on that also, and they both came out. Now the both of them are coming, and they've both been educated. All right, we've been in DC. Everyone knows about this crime. All right, it's just a matter when it's going to happen, not if, when it's going to happen. So make your bets accordingly. I'm not telling you to buy anything. Go buy whatever you like. But this is a life-changing event. Imagine you own 300,000 shares of DJT at $3, and it's up to 40 now. 300,000 times $40. You'll be pretty thrilled. And there's a lot of people in finger motion that have that type of position. I just spoke to a friend of mine. He has 400,000. At $50, it changes your life. Imagine it going to 500 to 1,000. That's generational wealth. That's why we're here. And I've always said the same thing.
Well, Biden's going to tax it at 46% or something.
Right. Well, listen, that idiot. He's destroyed the stock market by himself.
And then you add state tax on it. You pay over half of you take all the risk and you pay half of your gains in.
I don't want to get into that. Listen, make your money, buy your house, go where you want to live, get away from all this scumbags in this world, and go enjoy your life. We're only here for a certain amount of time, and sitting here wasting it every day, watching my investments. I have to defend it 24/7, like an armed guard here. Guys, people are buying DJT out of the money calls. So I say, why not? For nickels, you take a shot. If it pops 10, 20 points, if it goes past 55, it's going to 100.
I agree. It's going up.
Finger motion. Once it breaks out of their little grip here, they're trying everything. I just showed you the spoof, right? We got on this call. I told you point blank. I put the photo of it. 29,700 at $3.20. We traded a grand total of 2,000 shares. The 30,000 disappeared. All right. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to spoof us, but it ain't going to work.
So that stock I can't mention hit 418 as a high, $4.
DJYL.
Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah.
I heard that the shares are getting out. It's going to come out, I don't know, a week or 10 days, whatever it is, the shit's going to hit the fan. People are not stopping. People are angry, and people have had enough. Finger motion. If anyone's listening, the IR guy, get the company, make a statement. Tell shareholders don't lend your shares out like DJT. Start with that. The company's been attacked by. I asked Mark Basile about the capybaras, waiting for the judge's final decision, final ruling. He told me when the guy was jumping around like an asshole, they wanted to rule on it quickly. I don't know what happened here, but this is like ridiculous.
So if someone puts in a good to cancel order, is that the same thing as calling in and saying, don't let my shares out?
Just, you know what, just make sure, you put it out there and say, listen, I'm selling my stock. Make sure you're not lending it out. I want confirmation. It takes a minute on the phone. That's all. They'll pick you up and be nice as pie. Hey, I'm putting in a good till cancel order and finger motion. I'm trying to sell my stock at $12, pick a number, and say, hey, I want confirmation that you're not lending my shares out. I don't want to get caught in any nonsense. So you got to say, and they'll say, okay, we're making sure there's no lending your shares out. Thank you. That's it. Send me an email, confirmation. Send it to my platform.
So ask anyway, even if you have a GTC.
Yeah, just put it out. It just takes a second. We're fighting to wipe these guys off the face of the earth and make you a lot of money. The least you can do is take 2 minutes of your time, make the call, and just tell your brokerage firm. I put it up before. Don't trust them. Look at Interactive Brokers. They've been fined for naked shorted. Goldman Sachs, you going to trust these guys? Don't trust them as far as you can throw them.
Yeah.
They all belong in jail, all of them.
Yeah.
Robbing the American people. And Ken Griffin telling us that Merlin Capital got wiped out, and it's our fault for buying the stock. It's my fault that I recommended it. It's my fault that Roaring Kitty, that knucklehead sitting in his basement, whatever he was doing, I never seen it. He's the one that blew up the teachers union. That guy.
Is that right? That's really
They
it.
blame.
It's as
they
simple
blame-
as that. You've
They
got
blamed him. Can you imagine that?
you've got all these guys on Wall Street saying they know how to manage money, trust us, and it's as simple as one guy in the basement can lose teachers all that money. Wow.
All their money, wiped them all out. He manipulated GameStop to $550. He did it. And they were all nice enough. As you can see them, every time they talk about GameStop, they always talk, oh, Roaring Kitty in the Reddit crowd.
Unbelievable.
They're the ones who did it. Listen, all I can tell you is that this Reddit stock is going to be a zero. It was a scam by Wall Street to bring it public. They got public. They made the idiots, retail people buy it. Whoever's buying it, it's worthless.
What's the symbol?
Robert, David, Tom. The high was $75 and the 52-week range was 37 to 75. You have to, if you're buying that stock, you're a bigger asshole than anybody else. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
They'll never let it survive because that could be used to do what? Help destroy short sellers, give information exposing the criminals. They don't want these platforms. They're cringing that actually Twitter, we're able to expose and talk about everything that's going on here. They don't want that. Guy stealing $40 billion. You think he wants people educated about what's going on here? So Reddit is just a stupid, they just put that deal out here trying to get people to get an IPO and make some money. That's all it was. And they're probably shorting the shit out
Do
of
you
it.
know what it was? What was it priced at?
I don't know.
Because you're right, it spiked to 75 and now it's almost as low as it's ever been.
All right. It's only been public a couple of months. I really don't know. All I know is that if they rushed it to go public, they're going to use a advertising model. Who's going to pay to post on there? I know a lot of people. Anybody even looks at Reddit. I don't even know anybody that looks at it. You know?
Barely figure out Twitter.
Right. So here it is. We're all going to go to Reddit. Oh, let's go to Reddit. We're going to support them. Get the hell out of here. And if anyone has an account of Robinhood, you got to be a bigger asshole because that guy turned on everybody, sold you out. He's a billionaire. They protected him. He ratted you all out, stopped trading the stock to protect his ass, and everyone else got ripped off. If you move your account, he has no business. There's nothing there. It's a worthless company. He has people that open accounts there and put money there. That's it. He sells your order flow out the back door, and that's it. Take away your account, and he's out of business. Another company's to zero. You want to fight back? I just gave you 2 names to fight back with. Reddit, get the hell out of the way. It's a waste of time. And Robinhood's going to zero because it's a brokerage firm that was used to abuse retail investors. He's rich. Everyone else got wiped out. So all the GameStop people, AMC people who got harmed, who got hurt by Robinhood and that idiot, you should move your accounts. Interactive Brokers is another scumbag. His stock is making new highs, and they robbed everybody. It's another new high. It's up to 117. What are they doing that's so wonderful? The market's getting killed, yet these guys are making money. With what? They sell their order flow. They're not doing anything. Where are they getting the business from? What are they doing? The big, what are they, government bonds? Where are they? Where are they? They don't have a big desk. Not this shitty firm.
If enough people called and said, don't lend out our shares, is that possibly a trigger of a buyback?
Yes, yes. There's
Interesting.
2.2 million shares they got to stop buying. We traded 100,000 shares today. Think about 2.2 million shares to buy with no selling.
Interesting. Very interesting.
And the reason I'm bringing it up, because DJT reminded me of it, and that's the only reason I forgot. So
This guy's asking, isn't Reddit worth more than Truth Social? I doubt it, because Trump probably
No,
has
Reddit
more
is
followers than Reddit has altogether. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
listen, Truth Social's just starting out. He's got 80 million people that voted for the guy. If you don't think those people are going to go there, then go short it. Knock yourself out. You don't know what they can do, what they're possible. So basically, your opinion is stating that the company's worthless. Go buy puts on it. I'm not telling you to get long the stock. I just think that the company's been naked shorted by people who believe it's worthless, who want to manipulate the stock, and now it's showtime.
This guy's saying, aren't all brokerage robbing us? I don't think they are. Not all of them. Robin Hood
all of them.
was
No,
really
listen.
specific. Right. In my
Yeah.
opinion, Robin Hood stated in their documents that they are just buying, they're creating fractional shares. I don't think they really ever had real shares, or just very few. That was a pressure valve to let those guys get out of AMC and that other one,
Right.
GME.
They were dead. They were dead.
Yeah, it was just a way of creating more shares to so the top of the whatever you call those cookers didn't blow off. Pressure
And everything
cooker.
they can. They said they probably told him, say this, we'll let you stay alive, you'll be a billionaire, and you went in front of Congress and they all lied. That's what they did. But this is a different team going in front of Congress. Devin Nunes is from DC. He knows the crowd there. He knows Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan is the biggest bulldog. I love watching him speak.
Yeah, he's
the biggest
good.
bulldog out there. And they're going to get to the point. It's not a political point here. What's going on that Wall Street has counterfeit shares? Can't you wait and see it coming out of his mouth on TV tonight or tomorrow? Can't you wait to see that? What's going on? We need an investigation from the SEC and FINRA. Who is selling counterfeit shares in this company? He has the proof. He's got the information. Trump's people are confirming all this stuff with him. It's going to come out. And who's it going to help? It's going to help our fat asses in finger motion. And the other companies, everyone can go get their name out there. Most companies have been afraid to speak up. Most companies have been rape victims and never speak up about it. Just like a rape victim, they don't speak up about it because they're embarrassed. All right? Just like KNW, it's going to zero. The CEO signed a deal, a debt spiral. I hate naked short sellers. I keep telling them, don't kill KNW before Lynn does, because it's just destiny. He signed a note. They owe him $12 million. Where are they going to get the money back? Right? Lynn's going to get stock. They don't want it. So they're selling it ahead of time, and they'll buy it back at a discount from this company. That's it. The lower it goes, the more shares they get. That's it. It's a debt spiral. That's Wall Street for you. These guys have been doing this for a long time. Just make sure, take the time today, make the call, get your stock, confirm it. It takes 2 minutes. Anything else you want to talk
Well,
about?
one guy's saying he missed the last ticker you were talking about 3 or 4 minutes ago. I don't remember which one you were talking about.
I talked about naked shorts. If you are a naked short, go out there and kill KNW. It's
Ah.
61 cents.
That was it.
If you want to, this has for naked shorts only. That's not for legitimate people. If you're a naked short, these guys will sell anything to steal money. KNW, if you're an investor in this company, go read the details of the debt spiral note that the company signed with Lynn Partners. You're all going to zero. The CEO is marching the investors to the slaughterhouse. All right. If the people would just read the note, they know that this company's going to zero. The company's going to come out and try to pump it up. We got this, we have that, and they all get wiped out. How does a stock that's got a $12 million debt spiral note with a notorious scumbag and no one sells it? That's because Lynn is trying to pump it up, getting people to buy it. That's the only reason. And the CEO is doing everything. He thinks he can work out of this stock, out of this deal with fundamentals. It ain't happening. Finger motion's under attack, and they got rid of them. They got rid of the criminals, and they're still under attack every day because they can't stop. They can't stop because once they take their foot off the gas here and try to hold us down, it's like you said, William. It's like a balloon in the pool, right? What happens, right?
Yeah,
That
the beach ball, yeah.
Right, a beach ball. Try to hold it under the water. You can't, and then it pops. That's what's going to happen here. They keep trying to hold it in this range. Hold it down. Borrow some more shares. Do whatever we can. But again, shining the light on the cockroaches, we will get them all, and we have the most powerful guy in the world. I keep repeating it, and I'm giving everybody the instructions. Don't yell at us. Don't lend your shares out. We don't know if your shares are being lent out. I'm sure half of you don't know it either. Make the call. Help yourself. DJT, people did it, and look what happened to the stock. It went from 22 to 39. What, 10 days? And at 22, it looked like it was falling off the face of the earth. Now it looks the complete opposite. And what's the market doing? The market's down 500. The market's down 500. Are you ready? They're trying to hold it up with Apple, which is unchanged almost. IBM got smoked down 17. So if IBM's down, they got to hold it up somewhere else. What are they buying? NVIDIA. NVIDIA's up 22 again. Down, up. What goes with NVIDIA? Micron, other technology companies are trying to buy back the technology, which they slaughtered the other couple of days, right? They've been knocking them down. Now they're buying them back because other parts are going down, right? This is how they balance it. What other stocks are going up? I saw before Merck is up $3 today. So they start spreading out to different names to balance the market. UNH is my old favorite. That's up 7 today. Market's down 500. All right, you see how they balance the market? They're slaughtering some. Is one day when they all go down together, you're going to see the market down 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 points. Because when they go down together, look out. Anything else, William?
Weinstein got off. Harvey
Who?
Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein's conviction is overturned.
Is he a Democrat?
I have no idea.
He's a Democrat, then I understand. Other than that, the guy is a sex fiend and he belongs in jail. What did I tell you? Crime pays in the United States, right? People raping people, no big deal. Stealing money, no big deal.
Absolutely. This guy makes a really good point that you've made before. MMTLP is different from everything else, although it's just a chit, but it doesn't trade. So it trapped the shorts. That's exactly right. The rest of them, they can still play.
I said it 1,000 times. MMTLP, they made a huge mistake. Stop trading it. Then they, by accident, you guys got the Freedom of Information, and you see the correspondence between the SEC and FINRA. They all know about the crime, and they actually did an investigation into it. Why won't they give the data? Because the investigation has now exposed a major guy who's short. Now, what do? There's no way to cover. They're just exposed, sitting here hanging in the wind. But the big problem now is time has gone on, and the most powerful man in the world is standing there and knows about it. All right? They know about Finger, and they know about MMTLP. All right? And now they know about Kodak. They know the short Tesla. The names I'm reporting means they know about it. All right? So every day I give them more and more names, more information. It's just going to keep spreading. I passed the information about Root. You want to talk to Jim Jordan? There you go. Yeah, MMTLP exposed Ari Rubenstein, whoever that guy is. That's the guy from GTS.
I thought he was Yorkville on the board. Am I wrong?
Yorkville.
No, he wasn't on the board of Yorkville.
Yorkville is Wolf.
Right, I know, but I thought Ari Rubenstein. Oh, he's on GTS. All right, I got it wrong.
GTS. Oh my goodness, William.
So many things
We
to
gotta
keep
get-
track of.
You got to keep remembering these things. That's, the only thing I forgot in the last few days is why didn't we tell people to not lend
It's
their shares?
Berzini. If Berzini
So-
comes to you, he's the one that killed Michael. Oh, I don't know.
Right.
That killed Sonny.
It's not Benini. It's
Berzini? No, Benzini.
Benzini. I forgot.
Benzini.
I watch it every third day. It's always on television. Godfather 1, Godfather 2.
He was banging waitresses 2 at a time.
One of the gentlemen I played pickleball with, this Irish guy, told me his dad used to drive. What was the gentleman? What was the guy's name that got murdered in the car at the steakhouse? I can't remember the
Oh,
gangster's name.
Sparks.
Yeah, outside of Sparks. He was the driver.
What was that guy's name?
I'm blank. I just
With a
went
C?
blank. Bonamo? No, what was his name?
He was the one that Gotti hated.
Yeah, I forgot his name.
Yeah. So this guy, I don't know. He's had some good comments, but I don't understand this comment. But he's saying, is Finger not good? Come on. I spent 40 minutes yesterday on Finger, and I got to tell you, even though Ham doesn't care about charts, the chart looks great on Finger. On Monday, they're going to be
Paul
ringing the
Castellano,
bell.
Excuse me.
And
Stop at that a second. Stop at that. Listen, Paul Castellano, listen.
Castellano. Yeah, Castellano.
Listen, are you a buffoon? Finger motion. Go watch the videos. Do your homework. We're not going to answer your question that you don't understand what's going on. If you don't understand it, if you have the stock, sell it. If you don't like it, short it and move along. That's it. We don't need to hear you with your stupid opinion. You don't know what's going on. It's not good. We're here defending it for 3 years, step by step. If you just popped on or you're just too stupid to understand the stock market, get out of it. Go do something else. Obviously, you have no clue.
Here's an analogy you're going to love. All In says Finger is going to explode like a poison ivy rash. Lots of laughs.
God. My wife is so skeevy. Ugh, it's nasty. And I'm deathly allergic to it. So
But you can't stop it once it starts. So one guy is saying when pork loin is referring to the most powerful man in the world, is he referring to not legal advice?
It could be not. Yes, yes, I am. If you think that's what it is, yes, I am.
The answer is yes.
I speak to Richard daily. He's a pleasure to speak to. He understands every angle of things, and he's trying hard, very hard to help everybody in GTI.
He is very trying.
He's trying super hard every day. There's people that have retained him as an attorney, trying to help us to get management out so that they can merge real companies in. That's it. We don't control it. If you want to ask questions, go on Rich's live platform, ask him all the questions you want. He'll answer them for you. We can't do anything about it. We know the short's north of 500 million. We know it's the Kramers. We know the prime broker's Alpine. You got the proof. You need a stupid business and management to get out. That's it. Management's too old. That's it. There's nothing to say. What can you say? People do not want to give their business to a guy that's north of 80 years old. And his board of directors 87, and the other woman's whatever she is, I forgot, 70 something. Where are they going? They're still using dial phone. They use a phone in their house, a dial phone. They don't even have a cell phone, probably. I don't even know. I have no idea. But they need to move on. There's guys with real businesses that want to come here, from mining deals to water deals to tech, AI deals. Richard's got a company yesterday. He told me another guy called him up, has a deal. I said, what do you want me to say? You can't do anything unless management agrees. There's nothing we can say.
So here's
I think
the,
Richard's-
oh, sorry. Go on.
No, yeah.
No, talk about Richard. It's important. I thought you were done.
No, Richard's trying to take I think he's going to try to do get a shareholder vote or something to remove management, get them vote them out. I forget what he said. I can't remember all the details on it. I'm not an attorney, so speak to him, go on his show, go get your answers from him. That's all I can do. I follow naked shorts. I got you the proof. We know who the short is. Bang, bang, bang. It's right there. Call the SEC, get them to settle the trades, call FINMA. If we can't do it, a little fundamental play will steady the price, and that will stop the slide. That's it.
So here's a question that applies to any short situation, but in the case of MMTLP, the gentleman's asking, where is the money? Is it frozen? Is it held at the prime brokers? Is it in motion? Has it been isolated?
I went to the casino last week. I went to the Borgata Hotel in Atlantic City. I drove down, and there were a couple of guys up there saying, "Here's bet 10,000 on a 7 on roulette. This is my MMTL money I stole." I don't know where the money is. It's a great question. Who's got the money? The shorts got the money. You bought the stock. They got the money. That's it. That's where the money is. They didn't freeze the money. They let these people get the money. They've been using that money, all those proceeds that they stole, and doing other trades with it, leveraging other things with it.
And to the extent some of it's MMAT, they did a reverse merger as far as I know. So money's out of the accounts.
That's where the money is, and the MMTLP. Again, it's gonna come back. It's biting them on the ass already. All right. And the only thing, you can't make any money with it. So if there was a way to make money with it, let me know. But as far as I'm concerned, just zero to make. The people that are trapped, they're going to get their money out. Hopefully they get way more than they put in, and it'll come to an end. I do believe it's going to be a gray market settlement. They can't have it go out in the street and say, oh my God, there's 500 million counterfeits. That's what they're hiding. Otherwise, it would have been over with already. So DJT, knowing that information, that they're hiding this stuff, is going to step on them until they get their due date. Only thing is DJT trades.
Right.
And you have to be a real asshole if you're short this stock. There's no legitimate trading desk that's going to hold positions in this stock. I can guarantee you every money manager who's got traders on a desk that are trying to trade it and make money on it, they're saying, hey, go trade NVIDIA, get away from this stock. We want nothing to do with it. Because when it comes to a congressional hearing, they're going to find out what market makers have positions on the short side. And that's when they're going to start hanging them. Why would you want to be around it? There's no reason. Go play something else. That's what every money manager is saying. Now, think about Ken Griffin. If it is his firm that short this thing, which it sounds like, imagine getting called in. How many shares does a firm short? Oh, we're short 90 million. It floats 45. Did you borrow it? No. What'd you do? Oh, we used the market maker exemption. On 90 million shares, they'll hang him in the courtroom.
You couldn't find 90 million shares, so you...
Right. That just think about that. So they're probably sitting here saying, whatever you do, start to cover it. And that's what you're seeing. This looks like root. Remember every day I showed you root just keep popping, popping, popping. Okay, once that starts to happen, it doesn't stop. It stalls, it pulls back a little bit. But I told you the last 4 days, buy the dips, sell the rips. All right, so this morning you could have sold it north of 39. You could have bought it back just a few minutes ago at 37 and a quarter. You made yourself $1. You can make yourself 15 cents. You can make 20 cents. Buy it, flip it, buy cheap calls with your profit. That's all I would tell you. That's what I would do. Every time I trade the stock, buy the dip, sell the rip. If I make 50 cents on 1,000 shares, I make $500. Buy me 500 of the 45 calls or the 50 calls for next month or whatever it is. I just roll the dice. It's a free shot because if it does go, it's not going to stop. We all looked at root. Oh, it's never going to wait. It was up to 60. I told you broke 60 and 5/8. It went to 85. 86 to be exact. And that was at 60. It was up from 7. You still had $25 in it. And I think the street starting to realize it's time to start playing the stock. It's got the same type of momentum. It feels to me
That's
like
a good
GameStop.
point. A lot of trading desks will buy it. That's a good
They're going to
point.
buy it. They're not going to be on the wrong side of this thing. If you get caught and you get dragged in and have to show your records, what happens if you're a total scumbag? Let's use Lynn Partners, for example. And they call you in and they want to see your records. Imagine showing your books that you're short all these other names. You're going to have to show your records. They don't want anybody to see what they're doing. What do you think the CAT system is going to do? It exposes them all. Transparency, it kills them all. If you're a criminal, you don't want anybody looking in your window, right? Hey, if DJT is the hot point, get away from it. Do you follow me? DJT, if that's the hot spot, do not be short this name, because if they call us in and they demand to see our positions, we're dead. We're short everything. That's how they look at it. And finger motion, I'm north of watching the same stupid pattern. 1,000 shares.
They're fighting right here because it's about to break out.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it's the same. Except that since we've been on the phone, it was 110. It's up to 113. That's the vibe. 3,000 shares. And I don't even think they were trading 1,000 shares clips. I think it's all smaller pieces. It's just back and forth nonsense. It's the same stupid trash back and forth. Where are they going? They can't push it down because the company is fundamentally, to me, is worth way more than where it is already. Where are they going?
Exactly.
My friend who's accumulated 400,000 shares, he laughs at it. He goes, I can't believe these guys try to hit it all the time, and I just put bids out and I get hit. I said, you don't have to chase it, just stay there, and they hit you. But that's going to come to an end. They would do it in DJT. They stopped and turned.
The market cap is, oh, that's the wrong stock. That's Northwest Bio. The market cap for Finger is 160 million. And just one of their businesses, just imagine their big data business could be worth tens of billions.
Just look at Snowflake. It's a data business. It's worth $66 billion.
Yeah.
66 billion.
Yeah.
Forget 66 billion.
Yeah.
Just make it worth, if it's worth 1 billion, Finger Motion will be up 10 times higher where it is now. It's $30, right?
Yeah.
That's at 1 billion. And these guys are sitting here trying to hold it down. I mean, listen, this is how it works. They call it a Mexican standoff. We're both standing there pointing pistols at each other. You know, that's what it's like. And they're trying to scare us out. Only they have no bullets in their gun and they're standing there. How long are they going to stand there for? They showed us their cards. They shorted another 600,000 shares. They borrowing the shares because it's hard to make it short anymore because they're getting exposed. So they're paying to borrow. That is the classic sign they're at the end of their rope. It's okay. I don't need it to go today. I'm not worried about it. I'll follow the DJT saga. All right. I have no friends that are buying DJT when they make a lot of money there. Okay, they just crossed like 25,000 at 312 or something like that, or 23,000 or 25,000 in figure motion. It was 113, it's 138, so is that 25,000? Yeah. So there's no bid, no offer yet. 25,000 just traded at 312. And if you remember, all the crosses that are always done in this stock are always on the bid side, the lowest side. I used to put crosses up all the time on the offer side. Hey, I want to buy 50,000. Hey, we'll sell it to you at 320. All right, put it up. And the stock is offered at 315, meaning that I would buy the 315 stock, 317, and cross the balance at 320. They always do it on the bid side. That means it's a wash trade, or they're doing something to cover a fail to deliver. Or a wash trade, something it's all prearranged trading. So you just saw 25,000 shares being manipulated or as fake volume into the stock. So at the end of the day, when we see it 62% or 58% of the short, take away the 25,000 shares out of the 130 something, and that number goes from 60% to 90%. And that's why I put that up at night. Do you understand that, everyone? Volume is 138. Let's say we take away 38,000. I'm just rounding it out. At 38,000, 138, the naked short percentage is like 53%, I'm saying. But because of the fake trade, take away the 38,000 and the real volume is 100,000. That means the naked short is basically maybe 80%. If you take away that fake trade that just hit the tape. And here's another way to look at it. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. If you go to shortsqueeze.com and you put in finger motion, shortsqueeze.com, everyone. All right. And if you look at it, you put in finger motion, and it shows you on the short interest, current short interest is 2.15 million, right? But right above that, the short interest ratio, days to cover, is 6 days. Excuse me, 6.8 days. We traded 100,000 shares. Take away the 38,000. You're telling me you can cover 2 million shares, then the stock that trades 100,000 a day, it's going to take you 6 days? You understand what I said, William?
2 million shares in 6 days. I don't believe it. There's nothing for sale.
The days to cover number are wrong. Because if you take away the false trades, we only traded 100,000 shares. Covering 2 million shares is not going to be 6 days at this pace. It's going to be a month of trading to cover the shares. Those ratios are wrong. And the ratios are wrong because of volume or the fake or the counterfeit shares that they wash or the spoofing, whatever else they're doing to create this volume. It changes these numbers. I always wanted to make a point about that. Shortsqueeze.com, if you look at it on finger motion, the third line down says short interest ratio, days to cover. It says it's 6.8. There's no way you can cover 2.1 million shares in 6 days. It's complete nonsense.
But it's comfortable. It makes you feel comfortable when you read it.
Well, no, you need to educate yourself on that because that number, it definitely makes you think about it and say, oh my God, this stock trades a lot of volume. It really doesn't. 100,000 shares would be normal days in the stock. But it increases when you see all the naked short. Whenever we do have buying, the volume it goes up and the naked short number goes up. They just go together. But they run out of steam. We're stuck in this range between 305 and 330. Once it goes to the upside and breaks out, it's off to the races. And that's what I think is going to happen.
So here's the question that you always fear. No, what is going to keep the shorts from washing and spoofing for eternity? There's no borrow fee on synthetic shares, according to Jim.
Well, Jim, if you believe it's never going to happen, sell your stock and buy puts. It's a crime. If you are correct and you say that they're just going to continue to do it, get off the phone, go sell your kidney, and go buy puts on Donald Trump.
My answer would be, for example, in a stock like Finger Motion, let's say they sold 10 million shares at $5. If one of these events or 8 of them all come true and the stock's trading at 20, they're down $15 on 10 million shares. That's for real. That's for real.
The game is over. If you don't believe we're going to win, then you should be buying puts on Donald Trump's and sell your Finger Motion if you are long and move it to the sideline. That's it. You'll make money on the Donald Trump wipeout. If Donald Trump wins and the short gets squeezed and the thing goes to the moon to $200-300, which you could possibly do, right? If he wins and this takes off, you don't think the other names are going to go up? You don't think when he goes to Congress and they say, is this happening in other names? Donald Trump's lawyer is going to say, no, it's only here. Take care of us. We don't give a fuck about it anybody else. If you think that's the way it's going to go, move to the sideline and go buy puts. I'm with you.
So on that stock that's now trading at almost 4 that I can't say the name of, there's 2 questions. Do you think the fact there's no option chain helps if it were to squeeze? And another person points out that since the float is almost totally held by people that aren't selling, the problem just gets exponentially worse for them without options.
Oh no,
I don't know.
It's definitely a big problem. And I look at it again. I hope it goes to the moon for everybody because GDC is going to follow. And I look at it this way, is saying, okay, you got a $4 stock. You think we believe it's going to rock and roll. I would like to do, if I was playing, if I had, I would buy half a position in ZJYL and the other half in GDC, because if ZJYL is going to go, GDC is going to run back up also, right?
Oh yeah.
So you get more shares. I mean, they're tied at the hip. So when one goes, the other's going to go behind it. That's all. That's how I look at it.
So this gentleman wants to, I think it's a gentleman, wants to know, and I know you don't have any private information or anything, but on DJT, if they get in front of Congress or whatever, and it starts to run, does it go over $78?
Yes.
I think it goes a lot higher.
Yeah. And listen, if they go,
It'll become a parlor game.
Listen, goes in front of Congress. For the gentleman that just asked that question, or a woman, whoever it was,
All in.
it's a lock. It's happening. I told you, my friends are speaking to them. It's a lock. It's going to happen. You're going to get your congressional hearing. And it's going to be about naked short selling. And I'm going to get that fat fuck Jeff Easton's name in their mouth. All right? He thinks he's
just make sure you got Professor Angel in. Just kidding. Don't do that.
He's another shithead.
And
he knows.
And that guy that you and I sat with, what was his name? Tucker. Oh God. Anyway,
Oh, I pitched that guy for hours.
I know, and he just turned out to be
But they should go into his office, the MMTL people, Anna, and whatever that guy's name is, Don Fizz, whatever the fuck
Yeah.
his name is. Go into that guy's office and fucking pee on his desk, you stupid scumbag. You lied to. We showed you. We were here months before this happened, and you did nothing.
he's not there.
Now he's got
anymore.
the letter. He's got the letter from DJT. He's probably wet in his pants now because he knows the MMTLP thing is going to come bite him on the ass because he turned his fucking head and he fucking shamed all these poor people, left them rotten.
Yeah.
He's a disgrace. Whatever that fucking guy's name is, whatever his name is.
Well, his first name was Tucker, but he's
No,
long
what's
gone.
the head guy's name? What's the guy from Texas? What's his name?
Oh, I like him. His name is Pete Sessions, but I like him.
Yeah, but he did nothing. He's on the
I don't know. He's the guy that wrote this letter that was copied by DJT.
I understand, but he's backed off. They needed to press on this stuff.
Yeah, he gets
This
pressure.
has been going on a long time. They
I
needed to
know.
step up to protect the people who did nothing.
The banksters get everybody in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So the letter
Well,
that
listen, this is a major crime that's robbing everyone, not just the DJT. They're doing it everywhere. Ken Griffin's name has popped up. The GameStop crowd, the AMC crowd, they all rose from the dead again and are all posting, yelling, get Ken Griffin banned. Everybody's back out again. How does Ken Griffin? How come when they talk about naked short selling, Ken Griffin's name just pops up, right? You don't think he's the top dog in this fight?
well, he's the
So who are they going to hang first? Him, and then they go
That's
down
it.
the rope.
he's the first one to line up.
So
And
the first thing they're going to do is are they going to hang him first, or are they going to go for the low hanging fruit? I think the low hanging fruit is going to get roped in quickly.
you mean a day trader of Yahoo?
Yeah, that's what they're going to say to him. Get the day. That's what the headline's going to be. Day trader of Yahoo arrested. He's the only one that knew how to trade Yahoo. It was him. No one else knew what they were doing. It was him.
Oh God. All right, that was a question.
Listen, if you don't see the writing on the wall, I understand it, and you should 100% run away now. I'm telling you the truth. If you don't feel it that this is showtime, please move away. I'm telling you today, if you don't feel it, get the hell away. Get out of the equity markets and never come back again. If you feel it and you believe that what you're seeing with DJT, that it's going to spread into the other names, then you know what to do. You make your own decisions on this stuff. I see it. I feel it. I've been doing this 24 years. This is the final battle. We're going up the hill with the most powerful man in the world on our side, and he's got the political clout to get this stuff done. We don't have the political clout. MMTLP's been running around in DC for a year, knocking on everybody's door. What are you doing with everybody? How are you not calling these people out? Oh, they're so nice. Why aren't they doing anything? Every day, someone's putting up and I see it on TV. Oh, I put a new rule in. We should do this. We do this. What is it? Everyone we're talking to, what are they, all assistants? No one has any balls to do anything? Give me a break. Either they don't understand it or they're being told to shut up. It's one or the other.
It's like anything. You need the first person to jump in the pool, and then everyone else goes.
Well, we have the biggest whale in the world. You wanted a whale? You got him. You got.
There
Moby
won't be
Dick.
a pool left.
We'll do it like Leon and Curb Your Enthusiasm. When they told him, "Do you ever read the book Moby Dick?" He said, "Mopey Dick." He called him Mopey Dick.
I can admit I never read that book, but I guess I missed something.
Well, no. Anyway, you understand what Leon was calling it, right? You understand what I said?
Mopey, I got it.
All right, as long as you got it. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Better
It's a
than
joke.
limp.
It's Mopey. Anyway, anything else? If you don't.
Well,
feel
there's
it-
no real, there is an interesting thing that Nunya is bringing up that I meant to tell you about offline, and I'll tell you about online. You may not know Eric Sprott, the name that well, but he's a billionaire in the mining space, gold, silver, etc. And I think he's terrific.
Is that the guy from Canada?
Canada, and he has his
Yeah,
own
I thought that-
brokerage and
I thought that-
advisory and all that. And I tried to meet him. I met Rick Rule, who used to be his right hand guy, but Rick started his own thing. Anyway, he has lined up with Branson, and apparently there's a video out there somewhere, and they're both calling out short sellers. I put money, my own experience with that. I'll be quick because I know you get bored when I talk, but Eric Sprott is investing in a silver company twice or even 3 times. Same one I bought into a decade ago. I put 75 grand up and I had 3% of the company. It's now worth something like 10 grand, and I have 0.000000 whatever because of short sellers. And it's a great company. They've got the assets, they've been building it out, and they're getting killed. So I know that Eric Sprott knows all about.
William, I was supposed to speak with Eric. My friend knows him well. He's arranging a call. I'll be glad to pass him on to you, and you can talk to him because I don't follow.
Well, I was introduced to very high up guys.
With them. You could listen.
I'd
we
love
don't
it.
Discuss it.
I'd love
I
it.
will give him to you.
I'd love to have him come on and interview him and all that. I was given high people in his organization who I talked to, but I'd love to talk to Eric Sprott. He's a great guy. I recommend his Sprott Physical Silver Trust and Sprott Physical Gold Trust all the time. So
Well, again, I was contacted 2 days ago. They're trying to set up a call with us, a conference. We're going to do a streaming.
I'd love to be on it or do it. I'd love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I think I've studied him forever, and he is the only problem is going to be people are going to rather listen to him than you. That's going to be the only problem.
I'm not going to be on it. I just passed it to you. I have no interest in silver mining, zero. I only care about naked short selling. You can ask him about silver mining and then do naked short selling. Congratulations. I just gave you another job. Knock yourself out.
I'll do it.
I will hook you up with my friend Ed, and he'll take care of it for you.
Ed.
He's been asking me every day to do it.
So you have a friend. You know a guy.
I know a guy. That's correct. I know plenty of people. I can get a lot of things done. I've never burned bridges on Front Street.
That's good of you. I think in my life I've burned bridges.
Oh, I told you about the time I put a woman into a trade at 3:45 in the afternoon, a new account. I told everyone the story.
Was it Apple? No, it wasn't
No.
Apple.
Epitome, EPT was it called?
Epitome of
EPT.
excellence. Yeah, I remember that stock.
I shorted the stock I shorted 2 million shares of Michael Steinhardt at around $11. And she worked at Lehman Asset Management at the time. And she wanted an idea. She shorted 100,000 of Epitome. I think I shorted 11.5. She says, give me a call tomorrow. I'll be in Hamptons if anything's going on. I said, absolutely. Opened the account. The next day, the company got the takeover bid. It was trading at 30. And she was down $2 million. And I'm on a long trading desk with 60 people. And my boss all looking at me, thinking that she's getting.
Where's the money? She hasn't even just opened the account. She hasn't put anything up.
But it's a DVP account.
Oh.
And so they all thought the term for everybody who's on the phone is that they DK it, meaning they don't know the trade, don't know. So if she DKs the trade, I'm down 2 million. And I just met her at 3:45 the day before. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, I had to call her up and she's down 2 million from my first recommendation. Well, I called her up and I told her what I heard. She shorted another 100,000 at 30. The stock collapsed. It was a fake bid, and we covered it always down like $5, and she made a fortune from it.
Did you
So I
make
went
up
to-
what you heard?
Excuse me?
Did you make it up what you heard?
I plead the fifth. I had to say something. Where's it going? It's 30 already. How much higher can it go?
That's funny.
Everyone on the desk couldn't believe it. So not only did you short 100,000 and she's out 2 million, you got her to short another 100,000?
She's out on the beach.
And couldn't believe it. And then the stock dropped. It dropped that day. It was a fake bid. It dropped from 30. I think it closed at 11. The next day it closed at 5. We bought it all back at 5.
So she made, what was her average? Around 20 something? She must have made,
Yeah, you know, she shorted it at 11 and 30. So what's the average? Like 20, 19, 20 bucks, something like that.
yeah,
$21.
so she made 10.
She made
15.
she made like 14 points to 200,000 times.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Not bad, right?
It's,
Of course,
I'll take it.
of course, they had to revive me 3 times on the desk.
And your mother said to you, what is it that you do to make money? How do you
That
make
would
money?
say, so I did 400,000 shares at 6 cents. What I make 24,000, right? That was my commission.
Yeah.
And because I made a couple of $1 million, I went from a 24,000 commission trade. I was doing 25,000 a day in commission with her.
Because she was sort of paying you back.
Thanking me.
Well,
For the high
which
end.
isn't really legal. She was just looking out for you.
Yes, it was very nice, giving me polite, helping me out, and giving me back business. What more can you say, right?
Yeah.
No complaints here.
Is she married?
No, she wasn't married. I used to play squash with her at the Harvard Club.
You went to the Harvard
married
Club? Wow.
I was always in the Harvard Club. I was there.
I've been there.
Anyway, but that was Wall Street. That's how fast it moves, how fast you have to think. And if you're right, you get rewarded. If you're wrong, see you later.
All right. So you've been on an hour. You're welcome to be on as long as you want, but I'm just like,
Well, I have to take my son back to college, but again, you know the game. If you don't feel it, and I feel it, this game is over. The naked short selling scam.
Look, if you get Eric Sprott, Richard Branson,
Forget
Donald
that guy,
Trump,
forget that.
and Ham talking about it, it's all over.
It's over. DJT is just putting the final nails in them. When you see the congressional hearing, you'll sit there and say, I'm telling you, it's coming. All right. I'm told it's coming. Whether it's coming out today, tomorrow, it's coming. All right. They're here to take whoever's playing the game here is going down. So if these idiots want to keep playing short DJT, they're getting carried out. After DJT goes, finger motion's going to go. That's it. That's how I look at it. All right. All right, everyone. I'm out of here. I talked enough.
Thank you, Ham.
All right. Have a great day.
Call ended.
Here, listen to this.
You know, we're sitting here. You and I are like a couple of regular fellas. You do what you do, I do what I gotta do. And now that we've been face to face, if I'm there and I gotta put you away, I won't like it. But I'll tell you, brother, you are going down.
Like it, but brother, you are going down. All right, I want to show you something. This is the Joe Biden is recommending the highest capital gains tax rate on a federal basis in 100 years. I'm not even sure I didn't know the capital gains tax rate went beyond 100 years. I suppose it maybe 110 years. But there's where he is here. I think it's 44.6% that he's suggesting on capital gains. And, the strategy of locking in your losses by you can either sell, take the risk that while you're out of the stock, it goes up, or you can buy double. But either way, you have to close out or replace the position in 31 days. So it's not a wash sale. But anyway, having tax losses is valuable when the proposal is 44.6%. And if you live in New York City where the girls are pretty, you have to add on another 10 or 11%. Or in Washington, D.C., home of the free and the brave, you have to add 10% basically. So you take all the risk and you give half your profit to the government under Joe Biden. Well, here, everyone loves to hate Carter. I personally think Carter was one of the best presidents we ever had, but whatever. So tax rates have been down. Ronnie Boy came in. Jimmy Carter. And I don't know if Bill Clinton's in. That was all Ronnie. I think Jimmy did part of it. He cut some things that people don't realize, but I'd have to go refresh my memory. And I guess this is Bill, and then George, and then young George came in, and boom, and then we get the end of Obama, and then Trump came in, put it down a bit. So my point here, down here, this is 1980, which is essentially, well, there you go again, all the way out to pause. The guy that can't read a teleprompter. That's been 40 years. 40 years. And those are the Goldilocks years. During that time, interest rates went from as high as 21, 22%, all the way down to negative interest rates. But here in the States, 0.5%. And then real estate just went straight up. Bonds went straight up. Equity went, I told you already. The Dow Jones was 1,000. And now it's what? It's 38,000. Anyway, it's been Goldilocks. Everything's been great. No real wars. We've been able to work out equality of both opportunity and outcome. We've tried to include everybody in the LGBTQ name, but unfortunately they couldn't come up with a vowel, so it's hard to pronounce. But everybody's doing better, except it all happened in a period of relatively low oil prices, peace around the world, supply chain just in time, technology improving our lives, plenty of food, health. It's debatable, but mostly health progress in our well-being. And as I read to you out of this article, James Rickards, he says here, which is, when you think about it, it's just incredible. Anyone under the age of 60 probably has no acquaintance with stagflation. That's how long it's been. So that's, if you measure generations by 20 years, that's at least 3 generations, maybe more, that have grown up with no concept of high interest rates, runaway inflation, no jobs, gas lines, a war going on over there, and difficulties economically. No jobs, hiring freezes. So anyway, it's just interesting to me that everywhere I look is this goalpost. Almost anything you look at, if you look at a chart of interest rates, you see that goalpost, and it's the 40 years of Goldilocks that we've been through. Anyway, I love that movie. Heat is a great movie. It's worth listening to again.
You know, we're sitting here. You and I are like a couple of regular fellas. You do what you do, I do what I gotta do. And now that we've been face to face, if I'm there and I gotta put you away, I won't like it. But I'll tell you, brother, you are going down.
Brother, you are going down. Hey, Scott, everything's well. I think we had a good talk today. I know most of you must want to go to lunch or breakfast, so I'll try not to. Let me just talk quickly about one more thing on HNRC, which don't race out and buy it and run it up. There's plenty of time. But the fact that Anglo-American is buying, more accurately, they're making a proposal to buy. Let me read the headline to you. Sorry, I have pollen. There's a lot of pollen. Anglo-American. Oh, here's the latest headline. Anglo-American does not find BHP's $39 billion takeover bid attractive. So the price is going to go up. But apparently the motive around this is the copper. And if it were to be successful, BHP would control 1/10 of the world's copper mining supply. And the theory, just like I have in oil and other resources, there's dwindling supply of copper and soaring demand. Maybe you could argue it's because of all the houses, the shortage of houses, but there's a lot of electrification needs. AI data centers, electric vehicles, and onshore manufacturing. So that's the argument. So there's demand for copper. So if you go, and I'm doing this actually a little bit blind, I'm sorry. I'm going to the website for HNRC, hoping that I can find the information I want there. Otherwise, I'll have to go to the news stories. But at H&R Resources, it's called hnrcholdings.gcs-web.com. Let's give you corporate profile. Okay, here's the press releases. They own the Nugget Trap, a part of it, the Nugget Trap Placer Cream. That's gold. All right, here's the highlights. Let's just go to that. January 10th, highlights. They're changing their name to Cunningham National Resources. They own 100% of Cunningham. which could be worth $352 million if they drill 68 wells. I'm invested in a project there right next door, and the gas is there. The oil and gas is there. So mostly oil. So it's just a matter of putting the drilling programs and how much you have to give away. All right, so they own that. They have the HNRA Acquisition Corp, which I've told you about. That's New Mexico oil assets, water flood, worth, to my memory, $430 million. When the company de-SPACed, it was worth like $60, $70 a share, to my memory. When I did a video, I took 75% off of that, just, I guess, premonition, and came up with a $15 target on the stock or value of HNRA, not HNRC. HNRA then was attacked by whoever sponsored their SPAC and de-SPAC, and were convinced to raise money at $2 a share. Well, anyway, they did that. So they have enough money to drill it up. Now, if I do the arithmetic, to me, ceteris paribus, all things being equal, oil prices stay roughly the same, etc. I think the stock's maximum right now is $12 to $15 a share, but they'll acquire other things, so it could probably go higher. But anyway, HNRA is going to be distributed as a dividend to shareholders of HNRC, and I think it's valuable. It's got net income and it's got assets and all that. They bought Rhino, 40% of Rhino Energy. All right, then they're getting into energy transition companies. They have a 9% interest in Cunningham Mining Limited. Cunningham Mining has completed the acquisition of the placer claims known as Nugget Trap Placer Mine in British Columbia, which is the Golden Triangle. It says it here. It's BC's Golden Triangle. A recent independent assay, which is data from a 25 pit test program that has gold and silver. So that's exciting. He's, just like I'm preaching, he's building a company that's oil and gas, but it's got gold and silver. But here's finally, I'm getting to the point of why I'm bringing this up. This is his press release, January 10th, 2024. HNRC, it's going to be called CNRC whenever that change is approved by the powers that be. CNRC is acquiring a 10% interest in the Carabua Copper Company, with the potential to increase HNRC's position over time. Based on the investment being made by HNRC, KCC would have an enterprise value of roughly $60 million. It's a Canadian company with growing copper mining and processing, but up there processing operations in the Kingdom of Morocco. Started 5-6 years ago. It's expanding over the next 12 to 15 months. There'll be a further expansion and extensive drilling campaign to increase the reserves and resource base. They have cobalt. It's over almost 80,000 acres. The operations are low cost. They expect healthy, positive cash flows. Upon completion of the drilling program and an updated resource estimate, they project 21 million of annualized free cash flow. And then here's the punchline. Copper prices are set to soar more than 75% over the next 2 years amid mining supply disruptions and higher demand for copper, fueled by the push for renewable energy. Rising demand driven by the green energy transition and a likely decline in the US dollar in the second half of 2024 will push copper prices higher, according to a report by BMI, a Fitch Solutions unit. They don't link to where you can read that, but this is the press release by HNRC, January 10th. And so it's another reason that I like HNRC. He's building this diversification that I think investors should be in anyway. Oil and gas, energy, gold, silver, copper, almost anything. Now, don't be surprised if the system, the powers that be, whatever, and just the natural volatility in commodities markets. Don't be surprised if the commodities markets have had this nice run, and then there's a massive pullback as that maybe the dollar goes up. Maybe there's signs of a pullback in GDP or in China, and there's big panics out, profit taking. And possibly it's a debatable argument, but it's possible over the long term we're in a period of deflation. What does that do to commodity prices? That's one view. My view is that all of these commodities are reaching peak. There's peak gold, peak oil, peak copper, all of that. Obviously, it's all supply and demand in real life. Supply and demand has been captured in the stock market. So they've suppressed the price of silver. I think they suppressed the price of gold. It'll be interesting to see if they can do it again. I'm guessing they did it to copper, but I've never read anything that I can remember anyway as I'm talking that they've managed the price of copper. But copper is extremely valuable and it's expensive to mine. So anyway, when you add on top of it that much to the disappointment of the woke crowd, and I'm a climate change guy. I think it's scary what I read about the climate, the what's coming with climate change. So I am not dismissive like many people in oil and gas, many people who are voting for Trump, who say that climate change, it's a bunch of fear mongering. I don't agree with that. Climate change is a huge problem. However, the planet might fight back. Perhaps there's things going on with the sun and with the solar system going into, as it rotates around the middle of the Milky Way. Apparently there's a black hole there. One book I read by, I think, Eric Rostov. No, that wasn't the guy. Anyway, Russian scientists, there was a chapter on that, were explaining how, as our solar system goes into this thicker part of the Milky Way, it's having an effect on how much sun comes to us, and it's going to put us into another ice age. I don't know. The planet does counterbalance things. But anyway, let's get off of climate change. After all, I just got off of yours. That didn't work. My point is, I'm a firm believer in peak oil, and natural gas right now looks like that we have plenty of it. But when I say peak oil, and let me just make one point and not get buried in it. But there's decline rates in production, whether it's in a well, a field, a state, a province, a nation, And you have to, an industry has to keep drilling to keep up with those decline curves to replace production. There are also, there's a paper out there that by 2050, we're going to have population shocks to the downside. That would be good for climate, I guess. And it might affect the idea that there's going to be more demand for oil than can be inexpensively or relatively cheaply produced. By definition, in my judgment, if the world, just in round numbers, the world produces 100 million barrels of oil a day and it consumes 99.9 million barrels a day. And I don't know, I haven't looked recently. It could be a little bit lower than that. And they include all sorts of numbers in the oil calculation, like olive oil. But some of the numbers are estimates. Like they estimate how much is being produced out of Saudi Arabia, how much is moving out in those tankers. They don't really know exactly the numbers, but oil is priced on the margin. It is also suppressed with paper oil barrels. But if oil ever significantly crosses, demand for oil ever crosses the ability to supply it, and it stays there and it scares the bond market, it scares oil trade. Oil could be $200 or $300 or $400 a barrel before you could drive to the last Foxtrot store before it closes. They already closed. And then that gets complicated because this is real world supply and demand. It's not fake supply and demand like the counterfeiters that Jeff Easton works with. This is real time, real life. And if you can't get oil, it means you don't eat as well. It means that on a longer term time frame, a lot of the health benefits go away, work gets harder, people don't have as many children. Demand, you don't drive as much, demand goes down. So it could be that the planet has to shift to a lower population, because if you look at the world's population from basically the Civil War, I've made the argument, I've never read it anywhere else. I think I saw one short reference to it recently. My own idea, blame it on me. If you're going to get upset, blame it on me. I think the Civil War ended slavery, as in the United States, as the history books say. But I would argue that it at least should be considered that discovery of oil in Titusville right around the Civil War and then the end of the war, and the development of machines, and then the development of the Industrial Revolution meant that machines replaced both slaves and indentured servants like Irish. Machines allowed us to move away from exploiting human beings. But if you look at the charts, as oil production went and has remained in a hockey stick over that 100 years, industrial production went up, wealth went up, the bond market went up, our ability to live longer went up, but population, food production went up, production of cars went up. They all track together. And population went up. So it's all they all feed off of each other. There's balances back and forth. But in my opinion and judgment, the single thing that allowed all of us, the baby boom generation, to happen, all of us to live longer, the volume of people on the planet, is oil. Bonds are based on oil. The US debt is based on oil. Our military is based, everything's based on oil. So we can wish it away. Wish it away. No, no, no. What's that song? You can wish it away. I'll try to find it. We can wish it away by is it Elton John? Wish it away. Let me see if it's Elton John. That's why they call it the blues. That's it? Let me see the lyrics. Don't wish it away. Don't wish it away. Don't look at it like it's forever. Between you and me, I can honestly say that things could only get better. Anyway, I think the world is going to face a period of time when, because we're not investing in it, because a lot of the magic of horizontal drilling and fracking is illusionary, cheap money, there's going to be, I'm not saying it's going to be tomorrow, but there's going to be a revaluation of oil and gas assets in people's portfolios, and trillions of dollars will move to oil and gas assets. Like any resource industry, it's the first tier that moves first, and you're already seeing that. Exxon bought Pioneer in the Permian, and I forget the other two that just recently happened, but there's two mergers of first-class assets. Then you go to the secondary assets. Then you go to the tertiary assets. In my opinion, NextBridge, for example, is the last area right now that acquisitions will be made. Why? Because the assets aren't proven yet, and there isn't production. Banks aren't ready to lend that money. The Wall Street has destroyed the capital formation markets for oil and gas and mining. Absolutely destroyed it. From Reg Show, short sellers, and etc. Maybe I'll do a video, or maybe I'll talk about the silver company I put money in. I was considering, for 11 weeks when I was in London, I was listening to Max Kaiser and his fiance Stacy discuss Bitcoin. I remembered that Bitcoin was under $1. I looked it up. It was under $1. I bought something like $150,000 worth of silver. I put money in 2 or 3 real estate projects with partners, and everybody knows what they're doing in real estate, so you can't teach them anything. And then I put it in a couple of gold companies, and I put it in this silver company, and something else I did. Well, I wish I had just put a little bit in Bitcoin, and I would have a different story. But this, literally, I put 75 grand in this silver company. I bought 300,000 shares at 25 cents. Is that right? And it's in the the Golden Triangle up in British Columbia. Was the largest silver mine in the British Empire, and they were bringing it back to life. They were, it has winter up there. They were building the roads. It's got access to the river, power. There's big gold and silver companies all around it. But they got a new CEO. The CEO that I knew apparently got into a fist fight in the men's room after a board meeting when one of the gentlemen said something about one of the women or something. And so everyone had to resign, and they got a new CEO who's young. I've spoken to the CEO. I like him. But that CEO didn't know better, and he entered into toxic convertible financings. And I've tried to talk him out of it. He doesn't talk to me anymore. And he did get Sprott Asset Management to invest in the company. But my 300,000 shares became 30,000 shares, and it might be reduced further, and they're out of the system. So not only do I not own as much, I can't get these shares back in the system without spending $3,000 or $4,000. I have to go through this one firm out of California, and I called the OTC markets, and that's what they recommended, which is similar to Jeff Easton or a Kurt Kramer. And I have to pay money to them. I have to wait 60 days. Then I have to sell it through that group. And the bid will probably be down 20 or 30%. It's a nightmare. But anyway, when I invested in this company, it had de minimis proven resources. Now their proven resources have grown by leaps and bounds. But I also owned, I forget, 3% or 6% of the company. Now I have, it's embarrassing. They have so many shares out. What I own is literally worth like 10 grand. So while the company is booming, the short sellers destroy it. They've done that to the oil and gas markets. And so now when you have an oil and gas company or you have a gold company, you have to go to the banksters or you have to go to these hedge funds, and they'll give you money, but then they restrict your drilling and they want to be paid back out of your cash flow. It's a handcuff on the industry. That'll change as prices go up. And my prediction for oil prices will make me look insane. But I think obviously oil prices are going over 100. I said that when they were 30, but no one believed me. But they'll go over 100. And I'm sure people will predict they'll go to 150. And then they'll start talking about demand destruction, and as if they'll ever come back. Look, a plague would cause demand destruction. A world war would cause the price to go up. But then if a lot of people died, it would cause demand destruction. Sure, all of that. But once everyone understands what I'm talking about, that we can't produce enough oil in the world, so that we have, I forget what it is. We have, I used to know these numbers. I have a bookshelf of books that I studied on it. Not here. It's all in boxes. But we have something like 600 million automobiles and 300 million people. China has something like 900 million people who want to drive the way we do. If China's middle class, ignore China. If Mexico's middle class wants to live like we do, oil prices are going to go up massively. The Middle East, the three countries that I remember that squander oil on a per capita basis: Canada, United States, but Saudi Arabia, and some of the other Middle Eastern countries. I'm not picking on anybody, The rest of the world wants to live the way we have lived in North America. And when I talk about what's going on in the Middle East, and people hit back and say, oh, you're a Hamas lover, or they hit back and say, you're a Putin lover. Well, go ahead. Talk about all, you can think that. What I'm trying to say to all of you, this 40-year Goldilocks period is over. I can show you so many charts that have this same goalpost pattern. It's over. So we have to get ready for what's coming. And one thing which I thought, because it happened in my accounts, that Ham and his groups of people were onto something in these short squeezes. I still think we are, but they keep fighting back. They keep fighting back. And I think after a year and a half, or 2 years, or 2.5 years, or 3 years, depending on how long you've been here, I think we now know that nobody's coming to rescue us. Nobody is going to enforce the rules. And there's going to be no buy-ins if Gary Gensler, Adina Friedman, Robert Cook, and Chuck E. Cheese Cromwell the third at the OTC markets have anything to do with it. Congress isn't coming. Journalists aren't coming. Nobody's coming. The banksters aren't coming. Nobody's coming. So I think we have to shift two things. One is we have to shift our trading strategy for the time being. And secondly, we have to move forward without those gains, which I was waiting for. We have to move forward anyway, because in the world ahead of us, which could start as soon as tomorrow, or it could take 5 more years, in the world ahead of us, when gasoline is $30, do this exercise next time you fill up your tank. Just do it as a mental homework assignment. When you fill up your SUV, when you fill up your Honda Civic, if they exist anymore, when you fill up your Lincoln or your Cadillac or your Quattro, fill it. When you fill it up next time, multiply the per gallon price or your total by 10. Just do it. I know you're going to say, oh, that's never going to happen. That's absurd. Just do it. So if you spend $70 filling up your gas tank, petrol tank, multiply it by 10. 700. And then as you drive around your suburbs and you quickly hop in the car to get a coffee, you hop in the car to pick up your daughter, you hop in a car to go to a soccer game, you hop in the car to go to a party, you hop in a car because you're hungry and you want to meet some friends for a hamburger, you hop in your car, you drive an hour and a half to work, you hop in your car to drive home. Look around the American economy, the suburbia. Everything's based on the automobile. But imagine how long your money's going to last. And I'm giving you an extreme example so you can think about it. I doubt that the economy is going to function if prices are that high. But just how long could you survive? But then look around at people. How long could they survive? When oil prices skyrocket, our modern American dream is over. And then when you add to it that breakfast at Biden's group, and they're mostly women running these wars, except for Blinken, who should be a woman, and the the guy at Defense, he should also be a woman. I forget his name. People promoted beyond their abilities, but they're feeling power, like Victoria Nuland. So we're buried in a war with the world's largest oil producer, the world's biggest army and technology, and the strongest country by resources in the world, who should be our friends. But Victoria Nuland, who's Ukrainian by heritage, is supporting Nazis in the Ukraine, and we lost. We put financial sanctions because of Victoria Nuland, I assume Samantha Powers, and whoever else is in that White House. There's just a group, mostly women and men, but mostly they all went to one Yale set of classes. They're highly educated and they're wrong. But we put financial sanctions against Russia, Iran, and elsewhere, driving the move away from the SWIFT system to the IBAN and now to the BRICS, whatever the BRICS come up with. We did this because this woman, Victoria Nuland, is so smart. But it's also, I don't know who else is making the decisions. Might be Obama. It's not breakfast at Bernie's. But what we've done is people are moving away from the dollar lickety split. So if you add what I'm talking to you about supply of oil to the fact that the value of the dollar could collapse once the prince who will be king of Saudi Arabia announces Saudi oil is no longer sold in dollars exclusively, our life changes. And so when people say, oh, you're a Putin lover, you're a Hamas lover, what else? If I talk about Taiwan, they're going to say I'm a Xi lover. I'm not trying to say any of that. I'm saying what's ahead for America, for us, all of us, is scary. So anyway, Ham just called. Let me see if he wants to come on. My point is we have to start thinking like islands of financial strength. We have to think like we're our own central bank. We have to think like we're going to get out of debt. We're going to own gold, silver, oil. We're going to own what we know about. And he's saying roots back to 60, 71. The shorts are covering in root. So anyway, we've had our 40 years of Goldilocks period. And in my judgment, God gave us 40 years of oil supply to rearrange our living strategy, but we didn't take advantage of it. And if I had one argument other than what I presume are going to be his policies in the Middle East, if I had one argument with Trump, it's that he has a vision of putting us back in the sepia-toned 50s and 60s, not racially, but the idea that we can drive around in Cadillacs and suburbia and we're on a flood of oil that can do it. I think that's wrong. That's a bet he wants to make, but I think it's wrong. I think you and I have to get ready, and I'll try to wrap this up. There's several things we have to do. Maybe we're building a community here that can help each other. That's one. You've got to know your community. You've got to have friends. You got to have someone that will protect your house as you walk up to the store or drive to the store. You have to build your relationships with people you trust. And I mean trust. Because people will disappoint you. You have to think of yourself as alone, and that you're building up your financial security, your your place to live, food. You know, I don't want to be a prepper, but you got to think about fresh water, food, and medicine. You got to do it. Probably have to have books to read and if the power goes out. But you also, there are, in all of this that I'm describing, there are opportunities to make money, which is a long way to get back to copper, and HNRC has copper. All right, I'll leave it there. Let me see if Ham wants to talk to you.
Battery 90%. Connected to Bill's iPhone.
He didn't pick up. I'll give it just a second if he calls back, but otherwise I'm going to sign off. We've been on. I'll sign off by 2 o'clock. I'll sign off by 2 o'clock. So we got 9 minutes. Normally I'd go longer, but I want to get back. Ham called me early today. I want to finish up on this gold deal, which I'm not going to bore you with. And I want to get ready for my New York trip. Thank you for everybody. PS 71 is amazing, and I'll highlight that. But thank you for everyone for donating. Maybe Ace is here. Maybe Ace can teach me how to build memberships and some revenue. But for me to sustain this, I have to learn how to make some money. But I also have to pay for my trip to New York. And I also want to go on to London and meet my friends. I've been grounded for it. Look, you know, when I went to Houston, looked in my travel log. I haven't really traveled in 4 years, so I've got to get back networking basically, but with friends. Hey, there's Aces, the place for the helpful economic, put you to sleep professor man. Now, Ace Economics, I like the name. That's a great name, Ace Economics. If you ever go public, you can call your symbol will be ACEE. Ah, I see. I see. All right, Ace, we'll do it. I did read Confessions of an Economic Hitman, but it's so long ago, I'll read it again. I'll take you up on that. I will, Mike. I'll take you up on that. Put you to sleep now. I studied economics, and I know that it's all crap. But man, economics can put you to sleep, but it teaches you how to think, and it gives you it gives everyone a common framework to discuss ideas. I agree with that, Ace. The thing that I describe to investors, and they look at me like I'm crazy, but I'm not saying that we're going into some who's that, McCormick or Cormick dystopia, you know, that book about how you walk along the highways and there's nothing. I forget the name of it. Cormick. What I'm worried about is that we'll go into an aha moment and there's panic. And these ideas that I've had for 20 years are starting to be front page news. Everybody's talking about it, which leads me to believe that we have more time because people will back away from that collective idea. It'll ebb backwards. But it doesn't mean that the ideas are wrong in my judgment. But what I'm worried about is a panic, like a hurricane or a tornado or an earthquake. And to me, if you get financially ready and you have the assets that can cross the bridge or give you a shelter so you survive the storm, when you come out the other side, all I want, I'm not even really talking about getting bloody rich. I just like people to maintain their relative wealth status, maintain their relative ability to create income in the new financial system, and to be financially independent, to be an economic beacon, because then you can take a look, you can try to grow a fortune, or you can just be a place for the friendly hardware man. Well, Trump, Ace, I think Trump is too old to be the answer. So what's going to be important, if they allow him to be president, is who his vice president is. And if he picks a rhino, that's a disaster. My choice, I've got four that I would like. I think Tulsi Gabbard would be a great choice. I think Sarah Saunders Huckabee would be a great choice. I think too young, but I think Anna Paulina Luna would be a good choice. Mainly, I pick those three because I think they have the backbone to stay consistent and not get bent by the uniparty. But the one I would pick, Ace, is Byron Donaldson. I think Byron Donaldson, I know he's a man and it's time for a woman and all that. But he also could shore up the movement that's already underway of particularly African American men to Trump. And I think Byron Donaldson could help create a party, and he could have 2 terms, that's not the Republican Party. I have a hard time joining that Republican Party. I'm still a Democrat. But he could create the future for America. So my pick is Byron Donalds, but he'll probably pick Ben Carson or something, which then, see, Ace, for Trump to be effective, this 4 years, what they did is take away, they didn't allow him to be president for 8 years in a row. They're going to turn this 4 years into a lame duck. So the key to his success, if he's allowed to be president, is who he picks as vice president. My choice is Byron Donalds. I'm sure you all have other choices. And Mark's here. Hey, Mark. Byron, there you go. See, we're not so different. J.D. Vance. I have to look into that. That might be. That might cover a lot of it. That might cover a lot of it. Well, Ace, I'm pessimistic about the powers that be, the banksters and the war machine and the financial system and the grifters at the top. And then you add to it these misguided, overly educated and brainwashed, supposedly competent people that are coming out of our colleges and universities. I really think what's coming sort of toward the end of the 20s, maybe the beginning of the 30s, is going to be a complete collapse. And there might be war, civil war. There might be. I hope not. I hope not. And it's one of my goals is to help some of us be, look, if enough of us can think, you can come up with your own conclusions, but if you can see some of the problems, I believe in that the American idea and the American system as it is in concept remains the best in the world. And we have the best, I think, the greatest population in the world. And we can absorb new people, but you have to do it in an orderly way. So we can recover. We can recover from this. We need oil for electric vehicles. There's no question. I think, Spider, we're going to have to change some of how we use energy. We squander a lot of energy. I'm sitting here using a 11-year-old computer that overheats. I am sure that when I can afford to buy a new computer, I will reduce my carbon footprint, as an example. We're probably going to have to live in smaller homes. One of the complete, and this is under folks, but unfortunately it continued under Trump because Trump has a blind spot. Trump thinks we can go back to the 70s, the Elvis Presley time. I don't see it. On the other hand, Trump's right to let the market sort it out, and the market can sort it out. But one of the horrible things is with low interest rates, people have been moving to and building homes in suburbia, but they're these huge homes, and it's based on cars, and it's not sustainable. Now, counterbalancing that, the pandemic sped up a lot of things. And one of the things that's good for the future is people are learning to telecommute.
Program and
Learning to telecommute. All right, here. Let me see if my speaker. All right, your speaker is live.
No,
I'm signing
I
off,
just
so you
wanted to
can
let
talk
you know
to
that Root.
talk to everybody else. You're talking to everybody.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know that Root, again, is up over 60 and 5/8, 60.58 or 60.62. That's the last time it broke out $86. So they smashed it down and they come back, they start to buy it again. These are signs of short covering. Spike it up, let it drop fast, and they come back in a wave. That's how the shorts cover. So this could be the next hurrah, and that ROOT to a new high. I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm telling you to understand and watch and learn how they do it. Right?
Yep.
It has a very easy sign to see. They broke it to 60 and 5/8. They broke it down to 46. They took it from 46 to 86. Then they dropped it all the way back down recently. I don't know the low. Maybe it was 50. I can't remember. And now here they are. We're back up to 60.71 again. You know, if it turns through here, you know, it could be back and go to a new high again.
So could Root, even though none of us are in it, could Root be our first short squeeze?
It's been short. They've been covering it. This is a squeeze that's been going on. It's an ongoing squeeze. This is how shorts cover. This is the pattern I'm trying to show you. This is a controlled short squeeze, meaning they're trying to cover and they spike it up, drop it fast, spike it up, drop it fast. And each time the spikes come, they're going to go higher because they're looking for sellers. This is how they go. This is how they go fishing, trying to get people to sell. DJT could have that same pattern shortly. Like I could see a spike, let's say to 50, and then drop it to 38, then go back up to 70, back to 50, things like that. Those are the same spikes. I'm just trying to teach you the signs of covering. And the naked shorted stock like DJT could be different than a Root, which is naked shorted also. But a naked short sold stock can have a squeeze where it's like a mad rush. Cover. It's a very different look. So I expect that to be in finger. I expect it to be in DJ2, where the gates just open up and the inmates come running through and just keep trying to buy it. And that's what I expect to see in finger. Finger motion, my friend just told me after they printed the 17,000, it was 17,000 at 312. Remember they printed that, stupid print, no bids, and all of a sudden they found 17,000 to cross. That means a prearranged trade. They know what the buyer and the seller. And if it was a buyer, William, they would have let him pay up first before they hit the bid. So it's basically a fake trade. That's how you know it's a fake trade, right? Because who doesn't want more money? Only a crook, right?
Yeah.
So again, all they're trying to do is get this moment of doubt. It's not going to work, and that's all they keep thinking about. That's all they're trying to do. So again, I don't know where the stocks are right now because I'm not near a computer, but all it is a head fake, a head game. That's all it's about.
Root is 6146, 6125 by 6179.
Yeah, so it was 60.70 when I looked at it. And I said, oh my God, it's at that number again. And this is how you trade. You got to memorize the numbers. And at that point, it looks like it's another breakout. And, again, just keep an eye on it. You can see how the shorts work.
DJT is 3653 by 3659.
Right, so they spiked it to 39. They were buying it this morning. They let it drift in again. And then towards the close, they'll come take it again.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to keep trying to sell it lower. Or they're going to make the mess worse. They're not doing that. They're just trying to walk away. They walk away. They sell 200,000 at the market as fast as they can, trying to knock it down. Hit the bids.
Mm-hmm.
And as they disappear, the stock trades lower, and people go, "Oh my God, it's selling off." What did I tell you? You buy the dips, you sell the rips. If the stock is in play, and that's how it works. All right. My main call was about Root. I want to just show you how, understand it, the pattern. The pattern's been going on a while. And this is the stock that was 7. It went to 86, drove it back down, back up, back down, and now it's turning back up again. So just keep an eye on it. Let's see if it goes to 100. Let's see what happens. All right.
All right. Thanks, Ham.
Yeah.
All right. I'll try to go through these quickly. Yeah, Reagan did that. I remember I was young. Of course, I was as liberal as could be. To my memory, Clinton raised it to 32%, but I could be wrong. And I've come around to that we should keep capital gains and income tax rates low. So maybe I've become a conservative. I don't know. I agree with that, Ace, but I'm wondering if we've put it off too far. And Nico, I agree with this. I don't know. I don't agree with the first part. I don't think it's bullshit environmentalism, but I do think the pesticides, the industrial food, I think that has to change. Each of us in our own lives have to start eating better, using water that filters through the rock systems. Plastics are poison. Nico, I've said it many times. There's a book called Storms of My Grandchildren by James Hansen. He was Goddard something or other, but he's one of these guys that speaks truth to power. And it's a good book. I think he had another book too, but this is the one I remember. And just to cut to the chase, his solutions to climate change is fourth generation nuclear power, which I don't agree with. But he's a scientist, I'm not. All of the small things from wind and solar and geothermal, all lumped in as one. All of those is the second thing. The third thing is just like you're implying, we have to stop tearing down our forests and reforest our planet. But his final one, he's got 4 solutions. His final one is leave the existing coal in the ground. Leave the existing coal in the ground. And then he makes a specific reference. He says, notice I didn't say anything about oil and gas because we're going to burn it, just like Case says. We have to burn it. We have to burn it. There's nothing as strong as it. Congratulations. Congratulations. I got my certificates. That's great news. All right, let me go back up. Ham for VP. Look, this DBMM, you keep bringing it up, expanding in Irvine, California. This is a good long-term strategy. That news is not going to scare the shorts. So, in my opinion, the thing that could make DBMM skyrocket is if Alpine finally goes under. But until then, I would be, if you want to own DBMM, buy a quarter of it now and scale in over time. Buy half, buy 10%, and just add to it. To me, DBMM is much more of an accumulate than it is a race into it. That news isn't going to change anything. Now, I understand why you want to be in it. The enormous naked short position held at Alpine could cause a squeeze. And that could, like anything, that could come at any time. So I'll look up JD Vance. Cormac McCarthy, The Road. That's it. That's it. The Chinese are doing the Belt and Road. I always forget their name of it. And by the way, Mike, I predicted that too. I'm not a writer, so I do it a lot of it in conversation, but I remember it specifically because I had a girlfriend. Really, I did. And we got into a discussion of it. And she was all for W's war in Iraq and in Afghanistan. And I argued that we're going to just squander money, resources, while China went to Africa, South America, rest of the world, and built up their economic empire. We're going to be squandering ours, bombing a desert and assaulting a mountain to no effect. I think I was proven right, but we'll see. But I'll read that book again. It's a great community, Ace, when you join, but someone asked me if I was imitating you. I don't listen, not out of any kind of, what's the word? Any kind of, there's no message, there's no animosity, nothing. It's partly I got worn out doing my own, but it's also that I want to make sure that what I'm talking about and my ideas, everyone knows they're mine, and I'm not taking from somebody else. But I think Ace, as I've always said, Ace is unflappable. I'm flappable. And so if you want a calm place to be where you get guidance that's well thought out and from someone who cares about you, Ace is the place for the helpful economist. Hey, Southern. Southern Comfort. How, son? I'm saying that we can live together without butchering each other. I love that, Mike. It shouldn't be hard. I mean, you can buy a ticket to that woman's concert if you want to go. For some reason, she's getting all the coverage. Really untalented singer. But if you want to go, you go. But they can track tickets. They can track it. They can track so much. San Antonio, that's a great city. No, mine's not tradable. I call in every day. I didn't do it today, and I get stalling techniques. And so, Lee, the one thing that I will agree with you, potentially April 29th might be a big deal, but my guess is they'll just keep stalling. The torch is lit. The heat is on. It's on. Good afternoon. It's on the street. The heat is on. What's this? Use a CC or disposable debit. I've never had that problem. I don't know, Keith. I don't know, but I'll listen to you. Sir Elton John, to you. I'm not sure that they, being the financial system, are going to allow themselves to be put in the straitjacket of blockchain. But I'm not closed-minded about it. There's going to be some transition going on. And MMTLP, Keith, I don't want to go too long-winded, but at least you're using the word settled instead of resolution. But I believe each of us have to, I don't want to show anything that helps the criminals, but I think each of us have to settle our own MMTLP. I'm not going to talk about it now because I've talked about it before. I have to do a video. But to me, as part of your economic resiliency, do not leave your asset in the hands of lawyers and the financial system and Congress people and journalists. Go get your shares of NextBridge. And if there's a settlement in the short run of MMTLB, which I don't expect, others are saying there will be, I don't believe it at all. I think the system will give you an opportunity to turn your NextBridge shares into whatever crappy MMTLP settlement there is. That's what I expect it to be, not as good as it should be. But here, I think you can get the benefit to the upside. We'll talk about that some other time. I've already talked it to death. Talked it to death. Which company you're talking about? Are you talking about, I don't know which company you're talking about. I don't trust Webull at all. I think they're there, and Robinhood, I think they're there to help the criminals. But if they won't let you put a GTC out, what I do on E-Trade is I change the price, and then they let it stay. Eventually I get a price. It used to be that specialists would maintain a book, and I suppose conceptually there's an electronic book, and maybe because we all think the same way, we can't help it. When everybody puts in orders that are at or around the same price, they reject it because it's too heavy in their little electronic book. So I pick another price. or you might be stuck putting in your orders as day trades. That's all I can think of. Thank you, PS 71. Zell is hell. Zell is hell. I think if you haven't used Zell and you're setting up a new experience, you enter into Zell hell. But anyway, thank you very much. Okay, I'm getting up to yours. That's what I wanted to do. Thank you for setting one, Scott, through Zell. Zell helps me, when I'm in New York, I can use it. And thank you very much. And let me go right up to Susan, if I can find her. And I'm going to sign off here short. There, Susan. Thank you very much, Susan. I really appreciate it. And thank you to Scott. And then I want to come down to PS 71. You're going above and beyond. Thank you, PS 71. I have a schedule for Monday. I'm going to be there Sunday. Hopefully I'll have a chance to have a good dinner schedule then. And then I'm going to stay for Tuesday. So I'm going to try to hit PS 71 if I can, more than one company while I'm up there. But we'll see. I'm not promising that. That's my goal. And PS 71, thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate it. Let's go down to the bottom. Mark, peace. That's great. I agree with you. Zell is easy. Not to idiots like me. I agree with whoever said it. All these things become difficult. But once you figure it out, it is easy. I agree with you that. It's that initial learning, setting it up. Drive you crazy. But you're right, Mark. Once it's set up, and I'm embarrassed to admit I use Chase, but I find Chase a great bank, even though I didn't expect it to be a great bank. So yeah, you're right. Once it's up, it's very easy. Very easy once it's up. It's easier than anything once you got it running. What's JR's theory? Good afternoon, MacBook Pro. I wonder where Ace is traveling, home or away. Well, I get worn out too, Ace. Sometimes I've tried to watch and I'm just drained and I don't want to hear anything about it anymore. I don't go on very many space calls for that same reason. But I also just try to make sure my thoughts are I'm not copying anybody because I don't want to take away from your effort. I don't want to plagiarize. I didn't see Big JR's theory. I have a theory. Yes, Anne. My name is Anne Elk. That's A-N-N-E Elk, not A-N-N Elk. Yes, Anne. What is your theory? It's my theory, which is to say it is all mine. Yes, Anne, we understand that it is your theory. What is it? This is my theory, which is to say it is all mine. This is my theory, what it is too. Yes, Anne. My theory is that the dinosaur is very thin at one end much, much bigger in the middle, and thin again at the other end. That's it, is it? Yes, that is my theory, which is to say, is all mine. I might have repeated there. Well, then, you seem to have hit the nail right on the head. I have another theory. Thank you. My theory the second. Thank you. Yeah, and the kids, the little kids, the little kids. When will it scare the shorts? I'm not sure ever. Tesla. Without a squeeze, where do I see the market cap of Finger? It's hard to say as I first heard it from Zachariah Sitchin. It's very difficult to make predictions, especially if the predictions are about the future. But I think just in one space, big data, that's one out of their 8 pistons. They're an 8-piston engine. Just in the big data space, I think Finger could be worth billions, 10s, 20, 30, 40, 50 billion dollars in market cap. SNOW in a mature market for both data and insurance is trading at 50 billion, 50 billion. So that's one area. When? I don't know. It could take years, but could it happen in 5 years? Sure. What does it mean per share? I don't know. It depends on how many shares are outstanding. But that's one market cap I would give Finger out of one product. The selling of minutes is more predictable, so I think the multiple would be a lot lower. But that Finger was selected as one of the companies to replace, to my memory, it was both Alibaba and Tencent, something like that. Or anyway, 2 of the mobile companies were abusing their privilege, and Finger was picked. So I think Finger over time could become the major player in the minutes market, or just a 25% player. What's the multiple of that? Probably not a huge multiple, but it's a huge market and it's safe. I don't want to go through the rest of them, Beetle, but Benchmark, I'm trying to remember, it took me a while. Benchmark, about 6-9 months ago, predicted that Finger was worth $5 a share based on the projections they had about 9 months ago. You can look it up. I've done some videos on it. And the 2 analysts said that they would re-rate Finger if any of these revenue sources started proving up, and if it went into positive cash flow and positive earnings. I think that re-rating is going to come. But Beetlebug, it's not me. It's research at a sketchy introducing firm, Benchmark, picks a $5 number. But if you want me to pick a market cap of Finger, I think it will go in, it could go, let me put it that way. It could go in 18 months to 3 years. I'll pick one. 10 billion or higher. All right, I went to the top and came back, and I'm going to the last 4 digits of my phone number. I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm wondering. I can give that out, I guess. The last 4 digits of my phone number. Can anyone think of a reason for me not to give it out? Other people have done Venmo without my last 4 digits. I don't think you need it. I don't think you need it on Venmo. My picture on Venmo is Lucky. I don't think you need the last 4 digits of my phone number. I don't think you do. I think you just need at William-Farrand. I think that should be enough. Name and phone number for Zelle. I've received Zelle. I've received Venmo with the data I've put up. You know, I really would like the contributions, but let me think about that overnight, because back when we first started, I was under attack. I was sitting at that table and outside, and I used to get horrific, for me anyway, because of my sensitivity. As my stepmother used to say, sensitivity. I just got messages that were very difficult to deal with. And yeah, there, Scott Schaller did it. Okay. So I'm just not going to do it yet, but Trey Bastu, I'll think about, I appreciate it. If there's more than one William-Farrand, I'm the lucky dog whose picture is right up here. All right. Kilo 666. I got to do a video there. The theory is N elk. I'll finish with N elk for you, Mark. And then I'm going to wish everyone peace. I'm going to wish everyone I want to get it on the speaker though. So let me put it on the speaker. And so you can hear Ann Elk, and then I'm going to sign off. So thank you for
Battery
joining.
90%. Connected to Bill's iPhone.
If you don't want to hear him.
Good evening. I have with me tonight Ann Elk, Mrs. Ann Elk. You have a new theory about the Brontosaurus.
Well, can I just say here, Chris, for one moment, that I have a new theory about the Brontosaurus?
Exactly. What is it? Your new theory.
Oh, what is my theory? Oh, what is my theory that it is? Well, Chris, you may well ask me, what is my theory?
Yes.
I'm asking.
My word, yes. Well, Chris, what is it that it is, this theory of mine? Well, this is what it is. My theory that I have, that is to say, which is mine, is mine.
Yes, now, I know it's yours. What is it?
Where?
Who
This is it. My theory that belongs to me is as follows. This is how it goes. The next thing I'm going to say is my theory. Ready? My theory by A.L. brackets Miss brackets. This theory goes as follows and begins now. All brontosauruses are thin at one end, much thicker in the middle, and then thin again at the far end. That is my theory. It is mine, it belongs to me, and I own it and what it is too. That's it, is it? Spot on, Chris.
Well, this theory of yours appears to have hit the nail on the head.
And it's mine.
Yes. Thank you very much for coming along to the studio. Thank you.
My pleasure, Chris.
Next week, Britain's newest
Been a lot of fun.
Yes, thank
TP, let me show you. I think, let me go to home. Let me go to me. I don't know how to show it. Yes, Lucky is looking directly at the camera, a much younger Lucky. I can't make it bigger. But anyway, yes, the answer is yes. He's looking right at the camera. He's black eye and white eye. Scott, I think all commodities will rise. I'm discouraged by reading Rickard's report that real estate will rise because I no longer own my home. And it was a $2 million house, so it wouldn't have to rise much to have big impacts on my net worth. However, I'm not sure that real estate, I've got to study it more. And I've asked people what happened in stagflation about real estate. But I don't know the answer what happened. I don't know if real estate went up in stagflation. But there's inflation, so you would think real estate would go up. But the problem is, if people can't afford houses, if they don't have, and they can't borrow money, how does it go up? I don't know. There's other thoughts on real estate, but I think separating it into two parts, if there are shortages and the population remains large and we have underinvested, which I think we have for at least a decade, if not longer, in the recovery of some of these other commodities, yes, I think there's going to be inflation. And I mean, just in the short term in our country, meat, grains, chicken, eggs, the supply chain has been disrupted. And there's also destruction. I mean, if we were at war, a lot of this destruction would be sabotage, I think. So yes, in the short run, intermediate run, I think traditional commodities are going up. That's one aspect, supply and demand, deliverability. But on the other hand, it's dollars, priced in dollars. Now, the dollar is a bit of a conundrum because there is no replacement for the dollar yet, but it's been worked on. And we have sped it up by our idiotic policies. Because we put sanctions on Russia, Iran, and elsewhere, they've created alternative ways to trade and transact business through the financial system, the IBAN number, and now BRICS. So if for some reason, particularly the Saudi royal family, ever decided they could do without the protection that was offered by FDR to King Abdulaziz, and they could run the risk of pricing oil in something other than dollars, which everyone talks about now. That wasn't a common thing to think about. Scott, we live as North Americans, as United States of Americans. We have roughly 5% of the world's population. We're 330 million. And if you add the 19 million that breakfasted Biden has let in, and the border czar Kamala Harris, say we're at 350 million people. And if you assume, which I don't think is a safe assumption, but if you assume there's 8 billion people on the planet, we're about 4% of the population. If you assume that, a little over 4% of the population. I don't know what it is currently, but over the last many years and time frame, we consume 25 to 30% of the world's resources, and that's a broad statement. If you break it down into food or energy or military supplies or certain other breakdowns, we consume 25, 30% of the world's resources. I'm sure it's changing. China is a rival to that. India is a rival. So are young populations in Africa. The Middle East is a rival. Southeast Asia is a rival to our population as a claim on those resources. But what allows us, Scott, to handle this? China has been our partner, and even other parts of the world over the last 10, 20, 15 years, as they got special access as, for some reason, a developing country. Also, my opinion, Scott, China has been building its reserves of gold. So when Bretton Woods 2 or Shanghai 1 or, pick the city, the Brasilia, the monetary accords are created. China has the biggest, I think it's their goal, to have the biggest reserves of gold, the largest reserves of gold. So when they sit at the table, the new financial system, which is created by the world's economies, will favor China. And I think for a long time now, China has been going along with our hegemony and some of our ridiculousness because they're still building their gold position. By a lot of actions I see, threats at Taiwan, in my judgment, China has been stealing and we've given it away. Under Bill Clinton, we gave a lot away. We give away our technologies. We give away our knowledge through defense and otherwise in our universities. We give it all away in return for cheap T-shirts and cheap items to sell at Costco. But Scott, if for some reason there is, I think the dollar is now used in 65%. You can look it up, but I think it's 65, 67% of the world's transactions. I might be confusing that with the world's reserve numbers. I have, but the point, if I'm wrong on my exact number, the point is, even though the dollar has come down dramatically as a percentage of transactions completed in dollars and as a percentage of currency reserves, it's still the big honcho. It's still the big one. Now, if you listen to Jim Rickards, the replacement will be the SDRs, the special drawing rights at the IMF. But where is the IMF? Where is the United Nations? New York City and Washington, D.C. here. Do you think after our abuse of our trust, particularly I lay the blame squarely over the recent years on one person, and her name is Victoria Nuland. But her husband, Robert Kagan, is a driving force in the think tanks, and it goes all the way back to the new American century with Donald Rumsfeld licking his comb to comb his hair, and Dick Cheney and others, with the idea shown by General Wes. God, my brain. He's got these blue. He just looks at you. He never blinks. General. Anyway, he came out and he learned that we were going to attack 7 countries and we were going to spread democracy, whatever that means, as if we have it here, to these 7 countries. We did all that attacking. We've already done it. The only one that's left is Iran. And it looks like we're going to be they're trying to get us drawn into that. And one that was not mentioned, but Victoria Nuland and folks wanted us to focus on. Folks came out and said, Russia is just a gas station with an army, and that their economy was one of the smallest in the world. Well, Russia actually has the most resources of any kind in the world. It has a highly educated population, and it has an economic system that is building up, and it has oil, and it's close to China. And it's returned to Christianity through the Orthodox church. And I don't know why we would pick a fight and we would drive Russia into the arms of the Chinese. They're reluctant bedfellows, but we're doing it because of Victoria Nuland. I'm going to pick one person. It's a whole mindset. But hey, you wanted a underqualified woman in charge, and there you got it. So anyway, Scott, long way of saying, if the dollar collapses, everything's going to go up to each of us. Now there's talk of having $2, an international dollar and a domestic dollar. Who knows what's going to win? If it's like James Rickards talks about, it's going to be the SDR. The new negotiation is going to be people sitting at the table who have gold reserves. It'll be Russia. It'll be the United States. It'll be China. But it could be Saudi Arabia. It could be Iran. It could be India. I don't know. It's going to be a new experience for us. We are not going to be, as we had a chance to be after the Soviet Union collapsed, we are not going to be the trusted partner because we've abused that trust. We also are not the economic engine. We're not the arsenal of democracy. We don't make enough stuff here. All of our pollution, all of our jobs, all of our production has moved to China, Slovenia, Vietnam, Mexico. We don't have it anymore. So who's going to sit at that new decision-making table? I personally think, Scott, we're going to do everything we can to delay that table, and that means war. I hope not. But if we get to that table, we are going to be one of many powerful players at the table. We're not going to be the power. And China, I think, has been very careful in building up its gold reserves to be one, if not the major player, one of the top players at that table. Now, China doesn't have it perfectly, by the way. China has problems with food. I think they have problems with water. And it looks like, because they bought into our debt-based system, they might have problems with debt. I don't know. But Rickards points out that if we revalue gold, it's one way of fixing the world's debt problem. I mean, if you look at derivatives, one number, which I think it's higher, we could have 400 quadrillion, whatever that, no, not quadrillion, whatever 400 is over quadrillion, I don't know how to say it. There were estimates we had a quadrillion of derivatives and debt in the world, and now it's up to 400 from quadrillion. I don't know how to say it. It's a huge number. And Jim Rickards thinks one way to fix it is to revalue gold, and you might see that happen overnight. Now, Scott, one of our problems is I don't think we have our gold anymore. You know, the UK sold off its gold. France for a while sold off its gold. The Canadians sold off their gold, and they rehypothecated it. Do you think the precious metals markets are any more pristine than our securities markets? We've let the banksters hypothecate and rehypothecate everything. Everything's a gamble for them. So anyway, one of our risks is no one believes we have as much gold as we say we do. Jim Rickards believes the gold is there. Others believe it isn't. To my memory, it's 8.6 million tons of gold. Anyway, I can't remember the exact number. But Scott, I don't think we're going to let anybody look at our gold. So we'll have a stance at the table. China will be there. Russia will be there. And they'll go down that top list. Will it be SDR based? Will it be, I don't know. We'll find out. But Scott, unfortunately, I think we're going to go to war first, which might strengthen our dollar for a while. I think we'll lose that war. There's no way we can win that war. We can't even, I watched the Secretary of the Army, I forget her name, blonde, answering questions why the recruitment levels are down. Another person promoted beyond their ability or skill or training. And she just spoke in circles. The reason we don't have people joining our army is no one wants to go into this woke crap. And I don't think young people want to fight wars. I really don't. So I think you're going to see war done electronically and missiles and all that. And I just don't see us winning. And people on here get mad at me. I said months ago, Ukraine is finito. And people, oh, you're a Putin apologist. I actually think Putin's doing a good job for his country. And I think he's holding the restraint necessary that we don't have World War III. There's people behind him that would be even worse. I do like Putin. I'll say that. And then Iran, I think, is holding back. It could be worse, but we're going to push it. We're going to push it. So anyway, Scott, it's a long answer. We don't know, but yes, I think all commodities will rise. However, Scott, if we're in a period of deflation, and we're still the king of the world, commodities are going to go down. And what is deflation? It's the contraction of money in the markets. And if commercial real estate loans collapse, that's deflation. So what is the Fed doing? They're printing money. The Fed is going to start buying our own bonds, just like they've done for years in Japan. So there's a battle in thought between inflation and deflation, and we're gonna have to see it out. But yes, I think there's going to be a shortage of clean water. I think there's going to be a shortage of food that we want to eat in the United States. And it's a long answer, and I obviously don't know the full answer. Lucky is looking at the camera. Thank you, Barbara. It is attached, and my problem was setting it up with others. Also, Heath, my main account is with a regional bank. They didn't have Zelle. They said they did. They didn't have it. But once it's set up, it's great. You're absolutely right. Hey, Amby, and it is set up. My Chase account is great. It all works fine. Hey, Fro Girl. One thing I think Trump is right on, MacBook Pro, my computer is freezing, is that they should be kicked out of the WTO. Or Mike Lang is saying that. They should be kicked out of the WTO. I agree with it. Also, the argument that, because they're building coal plants, so is India, the argument that they should get to do it because we did, it might make sense in some sort of woke fairness way, but the carbon released by coal, which frankly, the UK was first, and then the United States, carbon as a heat trapping gas stays up in the atmosphere something like 200 or 250 years. So a lot of the heat trapping gas that's in the atmosphere, and this is the other thing, absorbed by the oceans. We've had relief because the oceans have absorbed a lot of it. They can't take much more, if any, but we caused it. So the argument is, well, we did it, so China should get to do it. Leave the coal in the ground. Leave the coal in the ground. Natural gas, methane is, to my memory, is 40 years. So it dissipates much more quickly. But the problem is, as the oceans overheat, there's these things called methane hydrates that hug the coastlines all over the world, all over the world. They're frozen, and the methane is frozen. If the oceans warm up enough that this starts bubbling up like Coca-Cola, like gas in Coca-Cola, and bubbles into the atmosphere, it's unstoppable. And Siberia is the same way. Siberia has been frozen forever as far as human beings are concerned. And if that starts heating and bubbling up, it's natural gas, methane. We're going to have runaway overheating of our planet. But in many ways, those have already started. That's already started. If we could capture that methane and burn it, that's one thing. James Lovelock, who came up with the theory of Gaia, he was one of the first scientists that noticed the ozone hole, and we fixed it. I believe he's now dead. He's very old, but he gave up and he said, we're not going to stop climate change. We have to start living in our cities, work on air conditioning. And it was his view that all of these accidents, nuclear power accidents like Chernobyl, less so than at Fukushima, but Fukushima Daiichi, is that you got to return a lot of the planet to nature, to greenery, so that the planet can start supplying oxygen and absorbing carbon, because his theory is Gaia, that the planet's alive. Well, whether or not you believe it's alive, it behaves that way, and you have to return some of that balance. That's James Lovelock. But he long ago, I'd say a decade or so, gave up on the idea that we can return our planet the way it was. And if the oceans are saturated in their absorption of carbon dioxide and they can no longer absorb, we're gonna see what happens with our experiment. Pretty scary stuff. It's pretty scary stuff. And then, I mean, just to add one more thing that frightened the hell out of you, is our soils will return to deserts, because our soils have they have living organisms in them. Is it called microbiome? I can't remember. But as it heats, they die. Oh God, it's scary. I used to couldn't sleep at night. And the people that say nuclear power is the answer, Fukushima Daiichi is the scariest thing that's ever happened. Nobody talks about it. Nobody. I wish Obama or Biden or folks would have done something. But now it's out of control. And the biggest source of oxygen in our world, you'll never believe what it is. It's plankton. It's all the small things in our ocean. And Fukushima Daiichi is covering our planet as they spray seawater to keep these apparently it's 4, I used to think it was 3, coriums from overheating. They're running away, and the waste goes up into the troposphere. It comes over to the United States, UK, comes down in our food. But also every single day, 300 to 400 tons that we know about of radioactive waste just pours into the ocean. And it's in our fish. Anyway, I'm depressed. I don't want to talk about it anymore. No, I wouldn't trust the CCP. I want to trust us, our own country, but we have to change. And one of the ways we change is claiming our own financial independence, so we can be a source, we can be a place of sanity in the new world. What's happening to FSRN? You did say it. And if it's broken out above, I forget the number. Oh, it has. It has. FSRN has broken out above whatever strike I was looking at. I think it's going a lot higher. So I'm with you on that, Lion. It's up 72%. I think it's going to go a lot higher. You guys got to tune in with Lion. He's very good with technical analysis. I would say Fisker is going to go a lot higher. Or maybe quadrillion is 400. I don't know. A buyout. Wow, Lion. Wow. Wow. It's going to go higher. All magic money. Yeah, the idea of magic money is it's magic. So try to make some. Stop thinking of your wealth in terms of magic money. Start acquiring hard assets. And everything I've tried to get ready for this, I find myself naked, despite getting prepared. Why? Because we each have to rely on people. People I've relied on have disappointed me, but it ultimately comes down to me. But we need help from people. So I don't know how to fix it in my case. But you have to get into assets and asset allocation that allow you to turn, as you call it, magic money into more magic money, but then acquire those assets that are going to set you up for the future. It's not going to be your grandfather's Oldsmobile. FSRN is great. I would say it'll be volatile, but I think it'll go higher based on quintillion. Quintillion. Well, there is a quintillion estimated to be out there. Unbelievable. Christine E. Wormworth. Yeah, that was her name. What a name. Sextillion. That sounds interesting. What's after sextillion? Cigarette-tillion. Woke rant incoming. Well, I don't think I'm woke. If you're saying I was talking about climate change, I mean, you can ignore it, Chris. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Ignore climate change. Oh my freaking 25th Secretary of the United States. She's doing a great job. You did call it. FSRN was called by Lion. And let me just look at the chart. I got to get off and eat. That's why they call it the blues. Time on my hand. Time spent loving you. Oh, it hasn't broken through yet. It hasn't broken through yet, in my opinion, Lion. But it's right where it should break through. And so if it gets over 7, is it already over 7? $671. So Lion, my 2 cents on Fisker, it's up to resistance now. And I think it's going through it. But I wouldn't, you could see some volatility. So you might be able to put your orders in to buy lower than that. But if it breaks through sort of 7.5 cents, a little less than that, and stays above it, that becomes support. And I don't think it takes very long to establish support. But if it does establish support sort of above 7.5 cents, tune into Lion. He'll give you the exact prices. I think it's going to 25 cents, 30, and then it's going to go to 75 cents. And, you know, frankly, it could go to $8. I don't know my quintillions from my I don't know anything. Hey, Joshua. Mother Earth. Snap is moving. Joshua. Oceanic plankton. There, Mark, you're a smart guy. They produce more oxygen than the largest redwoods. Scientists estimate that roughly half of the oxygen production on Earth comes from the ocean. So was I wrong? Oceanic plankton. A cigarette. A cigarette comes after sextillion. Next up is a cigarette. Oh, good Lord. There you go. So, Lion, you sensed it by your work. And if there's short covering, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. It could really run. But also the buyout could be a nice number. The risk is if it's only one buyer, they don't want to take care of the equity. But if there's 4 buyers, you'll get a good price. Maybe. All it takes is 2 buyers bidding against each other. Septillion, octillion, nonillion, decillion, undecillion. God, Nunya. I hope we don't go to these big numbers. IMPP. All right, that means crude oil is ripping. IMPP does? Wow. I don't know what IMPP is. But anyway, I'm going to sign off just because somebody said I had a woke rant. I don't want to ever rant again. But I do think some of these concepts that I live with, the more, I mean, you can reject them, but the more, to me, the more you understand them, the more when things change, you know how to act. And it's foreknowledge is strength. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to read that off, Mark. Peace, love, happiness, and peace most of all. Remember to pray for the health of everyone here, the strength of everyone here, and Jenny L is who I think of on that. And then there's the hard work of people like Anna, Queen of Trades. There's the support of people that never complain, like Busy Brands and Junk Savvy, even Ham, and others, and Richard, the lion-hearted lawyer. All of you. So let's remember to say a few prayers, and then the one that I was asked to do by a priest is to pray for world peace. And ever since he asked, it's just a gentle guy. Ever since he asked me to do that, it's something I do anyway, but I can't get it off my mind that the world is barreling toward really big miscalculations. And the one thing we might be able to do is pray for peace. Google 10 to the 110th. Lion, you heard it first. Calling out $8 on Fisker. All the time is the answer. I'm going to leave this one here. And I thank everyone, particularly Susan and PS71 and Scott, for donating. I'm going to New York on Sunday, coming back Tuesday night, and I'm going to go up there and try to make some things happen for all of us. I'll do some reports, and I appreciate everyone. And we will Catch you on the flip side. Lion's saying one of the companies could be Nissan. You know, Nissan has a truck they're selling for $20,000, but you can't buy it here in the States. That would make sense, Lion, because they would be getting in maybe with vehicles that people could actually buy. Anyway, ciao, Bella.